You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
The Johnny Rocket Launchpad is Liberty. Each week we strive to bring you the best guests in talk radio. The Johnny Rocket Launchpad delivers weekly interviews of noteworthy politicians, experts, and activists. The Johnny Rocket Launchpad is bringing the party to the Libertarian Party and launching ideas in your direction. Check us out at johnnyrocketlaunchpad.com. You can hear me, Kurt Nelson, and the beautiful Heather Nixon talk about the ideas of liberty. Rock and roll.
Hey there, Liberty lovers. This is Mark Claire of the Lions of Liberty podcast, where we strive to bring you great conversations about the ideas of liberty 3 days a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Check us out at lionsofliberty.com.
Hey guys, this is Roger Paxton, and if you're fed up with the government running every single aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, then what's wrong with you? Check us out at thelavaflow.com, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow Podcast, striking the root every single episode.
We are supported by listeners like you. Donate per month or make a one-time donation through PayPal or Patreon at wearelibertarians.com. Welcome to We Are Libertarians. I am your host, Chris Spangle. We Are Libertarians brings you all of the irreverence modern politics deserves. Think of us as the love child of National Review and Mad Magazine. We explain to you what the hell is happening in our world today and how we can fix it by thinking differently. Please be sure to rate and review us in iTunes, like us on Facebook, share this episode with friends, and support us through PayPal or Patreon at wearelibertarians.com. We are supported by listeners like you, so $1 per episode by pledging $5 a month helps us grow. We're always taking your questions and comments via email at editor@wearelibertarians.com. If you're listening to the full show, then we catch up for the first 20 minutes or so, then we get full into it. It's a deep dive, analyzing current events in society from a libertarian perspective. This show is for adults by semi-adults, so please be warned, the language is sometimes strong and offensive. With me is my beautiful co-host, Greg Lenz.
I've been upgraded to beautiful.
Beautiful co-host, Greg.
Effervescent, my co-host, and then we brought the two people bringing the show down.
Yes, we brought girls.
Yeah, these are our people that make us look pretty.
Yes, so we have a staple of the show now is Kat Anagnos.
Hello, yes, thank you for having me again.
Yep, well, it wasn't really my choice.
No,
Right.
you put milk outside his door and you looked it up one night and haven't left.
I know.
She was just basically like, hey, I'm coming on the podcast Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Double finger guns.
Oh, God.
I was like, I can't resist double finger guns.
No, it was really like, Spangle, I have nowhere to go tonight. Please.
Please, let me have friends. I have none.
Let me have a platform.
Oh, God.
I will be famous.
Checks hair and mirror view.
Yeah. And then also here is Hannah Drazic. Oh, the rare slip. Hannah Cook.
Wow.
Hannah Cook, I called you by your maiden name.
She's married
I know.
now.
I
You're
know.
being marriageophobia.
She's been claimed.
I have been claimed. He put
Bought,
a ring on it.
if you
Yeah,
will.
that's a big ring, too.
I know. He did a great job.
Todd doesn't mess around.
No.
He's very alpha.
Oh, gosh. He's so alpha.
That sounded like you were sarcastic for our radio listeners.
No, seriously. The most alpha man you'll ever meet.
Sounds
Other than
dirty.
Greg, you know.
I don't
I'm
know.
very beta. I prepare show notes for a podcast.
Yes. Have you met Todd Cat?
I don't
No.
think so.
He's
I'm not.
he's a great guy. Hannah, you dated your share of losers before Todd.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't all terrible.
What would you? Who was
Really? I can think of a couple.
Oh, they were terrible. Not all of them.
who was the biggest loser?
All right. So, somebody you never met. I dated him when I was in college. He's the reason why I never dated anybody my age ever again.
Okay.
He literally, like, everything he did or said had to be run by his mom.
Oh wow.
One of those.
Yeah. He was a
Yep.
libertarian.
When we broke up, I told him that I told him that I
Just to
hoped
clarify,
he
who
had
broke
a.
up with who?
I broke up with him.
Good.
After his mom threw some fit of something from when I was at their house. And I told him that I hoped he had a terrible life, and I hung up the phone. And I still, to this day, hope he's having a terrible life.
Is it just like how you sort of, you were, I don't want to say that you attracted or like you brought in Kat and Hannah. Like you just have this tendency to bring in strays and then you feed them and they never leave.
Well, that's sort of the
That's
magic.
actually what happened.
That's sort of the magic of We Are Libertarians, isn't it? I mean, people who have nowhere else to go end up here. I mean, we're here for the politically homeless, the outcast of society.
We're our own little island of misfit toys.
Exactly right. You know, and Kat, you're no different than that.
No, I'm extremely misfit.
That's a hell of an endorsement.
Yeah.
Kat, you're one of us.
You big loser.
Oh, sorry. I have never been sexually harassed at We Are Libertarians.
Thank you. So now, Kat,
That threw you.
I asked. I'm just thinking of all the legal ramifications. No, I asked Kat that because she told me a story. She's an intern both here at We Are Libertarians and at the day job. So on Thursdays, we spend way too much time together.
Almost a disgusting amount
It
of
is.
time.
I'm
Yeah.
always stunned that like there's no like cooling off period.
A nice,
like,
a nice 12 hours.
The rest of the week.
A nice 12-hour stretch of just cat.
that
Lots
sounds
of cat.
terrible.
No,
Honestly, you're so lucky.
you rode all the way to D.C. with her for the Trump inauguration.
No,
Yeah.
they flew there. I drove there, but we did sleep in the same bed together.
One night, and then it was weird, so I slept on the floor. the rest of the night.
You got put on the floor?
She offered to sleep on the floor. Like
Oh.
I woke
I can't
up
sleep
and
with other
she was
people. I have
sleeping on the
intimacy
floor.
issues, so
I wanted to cuddle.
yeah, I got real
And
weird.
Hannah's a sleep sweater.
Ridiculous. The puddles you would not believe.
Yeah. Did you wet? No, I was watching Cops.
Now, I bring that up because Kat dropped a little factoid. She's dropped many factoids about the life that is Kat that have been amazing this week, but she was telling me about one of her past boyfriends that she dated.
Speaking of dating lives, also side note, if at any time you see a little metal hand scratch me,
Take my good hand.
I found a scratcher in the coffee table. Anyways, so
And you were brushing your hair with it earlier.
right.
Bet
I
that's
forgot
never
my
been
brush in the
used
car.
In a
You
pelvic
forgot
region.
it in the car, which is right outside.
Right, yeah.
It's a
Just
crab-
didn't
it's
feel
a
like
crab
walking out there. Right. No, yeah, so fun fact. I've dated many a losers in my life, but one of the most
funny.
one of the most successful kids I ever dated. I cannot say his name, but God bless you, dear leader. But so 7th grade, we had
Dated
to.
in 7th grade.
Hey, we were serious. It was honestly
She's
really.
very sheltered.
It was a beautiful,
She did
beautiful
bring Amish
romance.
blueberry bread.
It's one of the most
Delicious.
successful men she's ever dated.
Exactly. So 7th grade, we were doing a unit on the Holocaust in English class. So we watched
I love
Schindler's List, right, which was very alarming and disturbing for 7th graders. But then we each had to make a project that went along with the unit we were studying. So I wrote a song to the hit Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Living
good.
on a prayer.
Woo! If I got that
We're
wrong, that'd be
halfway there.
awkward. Right. So I wrote a song about the Holocaust to that tune. Well, my
A woman after Greg's own heart.
right. My boyfriend at the time made mustard gas and brought it to the school and had kids sniff it in the parking lot.
For real?
Yes.
Yeah.
He waged germ warfare on his classmates in 7th
Chemical.
grade.
Chemical warfare.
Yeah.
And like this is a real story.
True story.
What happened?
Did they call the cops?
The sad thing is no. The teacher.
It's just a little mustard gas. Even Hitler didn't use chemical weapons.
Well, we told our science teacher, hey, so-and-so has mustard gas and is like showing it off in the parking lot, making kids smell it for quarters. And the teacher was like,
Quarters. Capitalism, if I've
Yeah.
ever heard it.
and the teacher was like,
Want nerve damage?
Kind of like brought him aside and was like, so-and-so, is it true? And he was like, yeah, I guess. Aw, shucks, you caught me. And then that was that. Like, it was...
Where did you go? Well, you're so young.
From
You had
Elkhart.
the internet. But where did you go to learn about mustard gas?
This
to
kid
make
was
it?
crazy.
Dude, we had those kids in our class.
Did we?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We
I
had-
didn't.
My neighbors
you
and I
didn't?
would make pipe
Well,
bombs.
you were homeschooled.
Yeah.
Trust me, you were trying to gas yourself to get out of the misery that was no friends.
Prom
Those
with your
wool
mom.
skirts in the winter, they were just so itchy.
Sadly, it's all true.
Yeah.
No,
You should see
we
her
made
jorts
pipe
she has
bombs.
on right now.
We made pipe bombs on the internet. Yeah, you can find that.
Kat today, what did you... She said, don't you ever find people so douchey that if you just looked at them, you go, they're just douches. I want to go blow their headquarters up.
Yeah, I did say that.
Is ISIS recruiting you?
Well, if you see a pamphlet in my backpack, it's for research.
I feel a little bit like I'm a little upset because you once took an Instagram picture of you in all black with a black baseball hat on sitting on Ball State stairs, and I wrote, "Hey, nice Columbine outfit. Don't go to school tomorrow, fam." And you deleted it and like blocked me.
I didn't block you. I encouraged it privately. Two,
there's two cats. There's public and private.
There is.
Right.
She's 20, so there's still that,
That was at the time when I was heavily involved in student government. I was the chief of staff, so I had to be
assistant to the assistant president.
Right. No, assistant to the president. Well, basically, I was the president. No, I'm kidding. I was the second.
Look at me. I have mustard gas. I am president now.
I know a guy.
I own everything. No, but I was the president's go-to. So I thought I had a political future at Ball State, and then I took this internship, and now I encourage those comments.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, everybody loves mustard gas, and you can blame that on us.
The smell, incrable. It smells like Hobby Lobby. No.
So it smells like hating gays.
Smells like a night in a hotel room with her sister.
Hey.
That's true, because that's how
harsh.
you two met, was through Chloe and Agnos, who used to come on and then,
stopped. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I still love Chloe.
I still
Chloe's
love
my
Chloe,
fave.
too. Yeah.
Of course.
She just doesn't love us back. It's unrequited.
She loves me back. I don't know about you all.
She kind of
I
likes
know.
me.
Now, what was the trip? So you went to the inaugural for Trump? Why?
Because why not?
Hannah's one of our scumbag Republicans, along with Rob Kendall.
I didn't vote for Trump.
Who'd you vote for?
That's nobody's business.
Oh, she
Well,
voted
surprise.
For Clinton.
No, Mitt Romney.
No, she voted for
In
Hillary
the kitchen,
Clinton.
we have your voting records. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. You really?
No.
That's right, because you never were on the Trump train. But then
Greg knows who I voted for.
I know who you voted for.
I feel like I know who you voted for.
Daryl Castle.
Greg and I had I was very undecided, honestly, going into the election booth. I
Being
was
the good libertarian I was.
She was one of those who voted for Harambe.
I did.
Penciled
It's
the name.
true. Just kidding.
I would have.
I was literally messaging Greg like the morning that the
Going
election
to
day.
vote.
I was like, I literally have no idea who to vote for right now. Like, I have no clue. And going back to like my days of working presidential politics, like I thought an independent voter and an undecided voter was a non-existent thing. I was like, no, there's really nobody. Like, everybody has their mind made up. I don't know if it's just this election or if it's me or what, but
It was definitely
had
this
no
election.
idea.
Like there were so many people that were Mitt. Like you were a huge Mitt fan, and
I
the fact
love
of
Mitt.
pulling the lever for Donald Trump when you worked for Mitt makes you want to vomit.
Yeah, because Mitt Romney,
Mormon.
he's just great.
Mm-hmm. I'm
And
obsessed with Mormons.
You're Mormon?
She is.
Oh man, the Romney boys.
She's very obsessed with Mormons.
I love I love Mormons.
They're very good people.
No, I follow all of these like Mormon family vloggers on YouTube, and
Do you
I
watch
their
that
daily
TV
lives.
show like the reality Sister Wives?
Oh, Sister Wives. Yeah, I watched that. Love should be multiplied, not divided.
You watched a lot of Mormon porn?
Yeah, so I told a joke at the office at the day job that I like Mormon porn,
Quote unquote joke.
and everybody thinks I'm serious.
Well,
Because she said it so. It was one of those joking,
Flat
not
affect,
joking.
yeah.
No, it definitely was a joke.
I have a magic underpants fetish. I just like to sit and watch two Mormons grind on each
I
other.
have binders full of women.
Yes, that would be a great porn. You just open up your binders and out pops magic underpants women.
No, I was thinking like actual women like laying down with like giant plastic sheets on them to like pretend to be a binder. I don't know. That's just me. Anyways, thanks for watching. We Are Libertarians.
we went to the
listening.
inauguration together.
We did.
Yeah, you did a road. You drove alone.
I drove alone. I left.
Bless you, dear leader.
I left Thursday morning at like 2 a.m. and drove by myself.
Oh my
It was
god!
the best time to drive. I made such good time.
And then you met them there.
I met them there, and we had a long day. Took Kat everywhere on Capitol. She'd never been.
Well, I didn't know
We had a
Kat. I didn't know
late
Kat was
night.
going either.
I wasn't going to,
I
but
wasn't going until like the week of.
my
Yeah.
sister asked me if I wanted to go, and I had never flown on an airplane, and I'd never been to D.C., so it was two first times. I thought that the plane was going down both times we
I've
went.
seen this movie.
I've seen that movie.
Is that a tower?
Probably. But yeah, it was awesome. It was a crazy
time.
experience.
It was.
Then
really
you went to
good.
an inaugural ball, right?
Yes.
Which one? Do you remember which one it was?
The Freedom Ball.
Freedom
yeah.
Ball.
Yeah.
Both sisters wore my dresses
Yeah.
to the ball.
That's a cool
True
fact,
story.
Bender.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
random.
and it was
That's why I
funny.
invited you. Could you?
a
Hey,
good
don't
thing I
forget
was
those
alone.
dresses, Hannah. Could you drive 10 hours and
That's
bring those
actually
dresses? We'd love to have you.
Basically what happened. I even met them before they flew and took all of their clothes in my car.
Because we didn't want to like check like dresses because they get ruined.
And Kyle's tux and
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
But it
So
was
you basically were the butler.
she
I
really
was the, yeah,
she was the help.
Yeah.
the help.
Like, we'll
You
meet you
is
there,
good.
friend.
You
Don't
is
worry, though. You can
bad.
sleep
I
alone
also-
in the bed.
I also had all the snacks.
She really did.
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
Shocker.
Well,
Mama Maybell.
so this
She
trip
called me mom.
I did, yeah. Well, this trip was funny because I wasn't a Trump fan either, but I just went because whatever. It's like a
You
cool.
go just for the experience.
Well, it was crazy. I thought, I'm not even kidding. I thought we were gonna get like, I thought a terrorist attack would happen
Me
for sure.
too. Remember the cannon?
I was just about to say
Yes.
after he like was right after he was sworn in, like
Became
they
president.
Yeah.
became whatever they. I don't
They
know
shot
these
off
things.
cannons. Like he said, what's the last, like, so help me God or whatever the
Yeah.
last, and they
And-
shot off cannons.
And we all were like, ah! There's like a scream because everyone was like ducking.
Yeah.
They should have like warned us. It was
There
terrifying.
was literally like people were ducking.
And then at
People
one
thought we were gonna
point,
die. It was
we
terrifying.
left the parade and we were walking back, and they all were like, "Oh, let's stop at this Subway and eat." And I was like, "Can't we just go on the Subway and like, is that what the Metro? Sorry.
Metro.
I was like, can't we just go on the Metro back to the place we were staying and then eat?" And
You were that scared?
no, I
No.
wasn't scared. I just for some reason said this. Thank God, because we get to the actual Subway we were eating at, and we turn on the TV there, and
There's
there's
my husband called me. He was like, "Are you guys okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're fine."
there are these
Turn on
like
TV.
people dressed in all black with these like
Antifa.
radical. They're called like Block or something, and they were taking baseball bats, like breaking all of the Subway windows.
Well, the Starbucks, we were that Starbucks that they broke out all the windows.
Mm-hmm.
We walked right by that.
Is that on K
Yeah.
Street?
Really, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they had shut down roads already protesting as we were leaving.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Richard
It was
Spencer got punched in the face.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
it was wild.
It was really exciting. It was probably the
It
most
was
exciting
universally
thing.
well received.
Well, even when we went to the inaugural ball and standing in line for security, there were like, we were in line. There was a row of police in like riot gear, and then there were protesters on the
Oh,
other
yeah.
side.
I mean, right, you were everywhere.
Yeah, it was crazy. I've never and like
People love Trump.
They threw stuff at people, not us, but they were throwing stuff at people. In
we were
line.
too pretty, but
We had a good time. It was great. It was the best time.
yeah,
ever.
honestly, it was a really good trip, and it was in the middle of the school, like just the
Yeah,
semester
you missed
for me.
like a class or a test, right?
Yeah, that's why I failed that class. So
Which was it?
it's journalism 103. You can only
Nice.
get 3
As a journalism major?
right, so that's why I switched.
Not important.
No, you can only get 3 skips, and I used all 3 for the inauguration. And I guess he made some like really shitty comment to everyone, like, "Wow, so soon to use up all your skips," and then I failed the class. But honestly,
Destined for broadcasting.
destined for it. But
Yeah.
honestly,
You know, I'd like to check out communications.
it's a little bit easier. But I don't know. I mean, that's true. If I thinking in 10 years, I'm like, wow, I really wish I would have passed that class, or wow, can't believe I went to the inauguration.
Yeah, easy
So,
choice.
yeah, the class. No.
Yeah.
All right, before we move on, I want to talk a little bit about our great sponsors for this episode. Our first sponsor is our great friends at 812 Farms. It is a 2-acre commercial hop farm providing breweries and home brewers with fresh hops, whole cone hops, and hop pellets. They are opening a 250-seat wedding event venue right on the farm in beautiful Bartholomew County in Columbus, Indiana. And they just acquired a complete brewing system to open up their own restaurant and brewery. And they're striving to be Indiana's first destination brewery with ingredients that will be grown on site or within a 30-mile radius. So this episode or the next episode is, I think, our last read for these guys. You guys have been so great to 812 Farms. We want to continue to have them back, so we really need you guys. Go like their Facebook page.
We wanted to go down and do a show from there.
Absolutely, and we still will. I gave them my word, so we'll go down there and do one.
We should drink their beer.
Absolutely. And so they're starting to expand, and we want you to help them expand as they have partnered with us as we grow. We are Libertarians. We want you to help grow their farm, 812 Farms, on Facebook. It's all the words, not the numbers. Another sponsor that is starting a new business that is looking to partner with us, which means, as we have discussed so many times, Greg, I am the listeners are me.
One and the same.
We're one and the same. And so when martinarmory.com comes to partner with We Are Libertarians, they are saying to all of you, we want to partner with you and give you a great deal. And they're founded on a simple goal, which is to make buying a gun simple and affordable. So instead of carrying thousands of different guns, martinarmory.com carries only 25. This allows them to focus on providing the most popular guns on the market at insanely cheap prices. And for a limited time, their prices are getting even crazier, Greg. Crazy. They are offering our listeners free shipping. So please go to martinarmory.com and use the code WeAreLibertarians when you check out. Again, simply go to martinarmory.com, pick an awesome gun, and enter the promo code WeAreLibertarians. Again, that's martinarmory.com, and enter the promo code WeAreLibertarians. We thank both of these two small businesses for starting out. I am the son of a small business owner. I hope to be a small business owner at some point. And it's very, very important that you, as We Are Libertarians listeners, support small business owners, fellow libertarians, and our great sponsors in 812 Farms.
In the podcasting industry in general.
And martinarmory.com, of course. So thank you so much to those guys for being sponsors of We Are Libertarian. So we're going to talk about the shootings that happened in Washington, D.C. around the Republicans. Greg, I want to have a discussion with you.
What did I do wrong?
You didn't do anything wrong.
Okay, good.
I'm not mad.
Uh-oh.
I am owed an apology. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Can I do like a general writ, like a blanket apology for everything I've ever done wrong?
No, I personally don't believe in publishing the name of these shooters, and I'm not a fan of that. And I based on reading your great article that you wrote at WeAreLibertarians.com, which I highly. What was the title of it?
Oh, please hide this post. How mass customization is driving mass casualty.
Yeah, which we will talk about because it was a great article. You used his name a lot, so I imagine that you are of the opposite mind of me. So I want
honestly, it didn't occur. I was just like literally trying to report it.
Sure,
like just as the fact listing.
Yeah, and so I
sorry
think
about that.
No,
I
not
didn't
mad.
think about that.
It's fine. Listen, you do what you think is best. I just tend to think that.
Yeah, you're right. Because
I
feel the same way. I just wasn't thinking about it when I did it. I was just trying to get something up for us.
It's not that to me, the person that was the shooter. You can have a discussion without making their name famous about the person. And I know that other people may feel differently in that, listen, it's a fact in the case, and so report the fact. But at the same time, I just don't, I think you saw, and Kat can attest to this, you see the Columbine shooters being memorialized in both dress and on 4chan.
Are these good
Not
kids?
sure what that had to do with me, but...
Black.
We also...
The trench coat.
I should say, before I get too far off topic, we are doing video now, and so we are upgrading our YouTube channel, and we're posting these videos on the Facebook if you want to share the video of it. And Mittens plays a prominent role. It looks the great look of the We Are Libertarian Studios and the cameras and the lights that we've got, and it looks professional, and then all of a sudden Mittens gets up on the table and starts hanging out. So
the roaming cat.
Yep, so check out Mittens. She's very cute. But how you are just some sort
Sorry,
of salty.
dear leader, let me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take that.
Yes. So I would prefer not to say his name, and that is why I don't want to say his name, is that I just don't want to memorialize that name because I just don't feel like the name is important. I do think that talking about him and his motives are, because I think there's a big discussion around this guy that is just, man, whenever something like this happens, the cliches that get brought out, it just is so annoying. And I wish that we had some sort of hide cliche button on this stuff, because I can't imagine, little Cat and Agnos on your college feed with all your sorority sisters. What is your Facebook feed like?
Well, first of all, going real quick back to you not wanting to memorialize the person. I mean, It's just like with the Boston Marathon bombers. There was that online campaign for the one who's still alive to let him go because he was like hot.
Sarnev?
Yeah, because he was hot. Because he had nice hair. So it just shows...
Well, that's like the women who have boyfriends in prison.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Manson has 2 wives right now.
Right.
It's the swastika in the middle of the forehead.
But,
it's
no...
chick crack.
Sexy.
Woo!
What are you doing?
I got
Party
excited
foul.
when I said swastika.
Spilled your drink.
I was trying to hail, and then it just shot out of my hand.
No, but my social media feeds are just insane right now. It's a lot of very young, bleeding liberal people, which... whatever, but they're not recognized. It's funny. Okay, for example, the Manchester bombing, I noticed you see the top comments in all of those news stories. Can we just forget about the violence of it and just really focus on, or can we just forget about the politics of this, and can we really focus on the violence that happened and just,
not politicize it immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet this one, when the Republicans are saying that, they're like, well, the silver lining here is this is what they deserve if they support guns, having more guns.
Wow.
Was it that blatant?
Oh yeah, I kid you not, I was on Facebook, and one person I'm friends with was like all about it and was like, this is awesome, and everybody was commenting,
no, they did,
wish so and so died. Yeah.
Wow.
Kid you not. They're actual socialists, like not exaggerating, they really are socialists.
Yeah, like they read Marx and tell everybody how stupid they are and talk about ideological superstructures.
For sure. And they're all saying, wow, this is so great that this happened. These scumbags need to die. They're killing people. Like, they're the ones they kill more people than the massacre did, or the almost massacre
let's
did.
be honest, it's not that much different than if you were to go on a lot of anarcho-capitalist libertarian feeds.
Yeah.
Right.
The ones... Some of them are real angry.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that too much. I mean, most people have been pretty civil that I've encountered, but that's probably just the nature of being older. Like, because I'm sure being college-age students are having a field day. Like, oh, look, some Republicans got shot.
This is
great.
like cry-ins at the election.
Right.
Well, and that's just, like I said, it just shows...
I'm literally shaking.
Whenever something happens, like, like the Manchester thing, like, we were like, everyone's like, can we stop politicizing it? But they're like, oh, hell yeah, like, that's great.
That's a Republican.
Good.
You're a white male.
What did those people say when
shot by a Bernie supporter.
what did they say when it came out that he was a Bernie bro?
Yeah.
They were all saying, oh, that's not been...
That's not... How does that apply?
Yeah, how does that apply?
That's not applicable.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do...
Bernie Sanders came out and said a statement that he condemns any kind of violence. You can't blame this on Bernie.
Well, and they...
Echoes.
And they say... it's just like, not all Muslims are bad.
Yeah.
Just like there's the one ISIS. Of course, there's the one.
There's the one ISIS.
The one ISIS. But
The one true ISIS.
Yes.
it's just ridiculous. And it's funny, after when I posted a video of myself on the podcast talking about the whole, what was it, Evergreen State?
Evergreen State.
Evergreen
College.
State.
Mm-hmm.
I had some people DM me who were like, hey girl, just wondering, what did you mean by people are paying real taxes? Because I'm in college and I'm paying real taxes. So I don't know what fake taxes. And I said, oh, I misspoke, I guess. I meant a lot, like
your fair
taxes
share.
off of like an actual like
income,
I guess. But they're
and
like,
not
I
federally
work a
subsidized
full-time
student
job
loans.
at Hot Topic. No. I mean like a full-time 40-hour career, whatever.
Yeah,
so,
not you're spending money while you go get drunk and lay out by the pool.
Well,
Right.
don't you essentially make no taxes if you're making under a certain amount, because like a Hot Topic job, you're not you get refunds. That's why you get refunds, is you're getting that
these
money
people
You
back.
get
have-
refunds. You
hey-
get state, federally subsidized student loans. So
Well,
you don't have to
I
bear the
was-
full cost.
They let me know very sternly that they have worked a full-time job. They support themselves. Their parents don't pay their college. They're not supported like I am, although I don't know how they know what my financial system
They just
situation
assume
is.
because you're white
Right.
and
So,
Greek, and that you guys have all the money.
right. I just think it's hilarious that I see that those types of people, it's just they go from one
Oh, 0
crisis
to 100.
another.
Oh, yeah.
One crisis to another.
They are always outraged, like perpetually
Always.
outraged. I think that the liberals are just like horny for boycotts. Like they absolutely masturbate to boycotts.
Like I said,
What can we boycott? What can we shame somebody? And
like I said
slander
a
their
few
name?
episodes ago, we've grown up in all the history books learning about different revolutions and protests, and we haven't had anything outrageous happen.
No.
So they are creating their own.
Yeah, they're like astroturfing outrage.
Right. So I feel like in 30 years or now, when my kids are, well, I don't know how math, whatever, but when my kids someday are
Communications.
communications, not
Field
math.
journalism.
When they're like looking at history, they're like, wow, Mom, I can't believe you were alive when horrible Republicans were around. Blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like that's going to happen.
I feel like
Mom, you were racist?
Mom, are you racist?
Was the R for racism?
Mom, you're xenotransphobic, Islamophobic, XYZ.
If
I
you
don't know.
raise children like that,
I'll personally smack you in the face.
yeah.
No, I will
Hannah will
condone-
homeschool the shit out of her.
I'll do it.
I feel like your kids, based on Mama and Agnos, will be very conservative.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully.
You think so?
No, I
It's
don't
usually
know.
like a reaction to it. Like if whatever you were raised, like around the rebellion period, you're like, No way.
I feel like this next generation, like over the next few years, we're going to see a lot of millennials, especially, are going to be far more conservative than we think.
Right.
Fiscally, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
Because we're screwed over as the middle of the road, like millennial. I was born basically in the middle of that. We are so freaking screwed over.
Well, it's like we're going to pay Social Security, but we're not going to get it.
No,
Yeah.
Exactly.
We pay so much in taxes. I'm married to a small business owner. It's ridiculous the amount of taxes he pays. Like,
It's always
dumb.
a fee or an additional, always something.
Yeah.
It's so
Well,
dumb.
and I just find that interesting that my parents are fairly conservative, but they never started.
Fairly?
Your mom's woke.
Fairly.
Your mom-
Conservative
Well,
isn't close.
A little bit.
She could have replaced Alex Jones on the
Your-
Megyn Kelly
Probably.
interview.
Your mama is Pepe incarnate.
Yeah.
She is. But I just think, she never got like that until the 2012 election.
2012?
Yeah, 2012 election.
What was the 2012 one? Why?
Mitt
Romney.
Oh, God. Mittens.
Mitten.
Mittens and Tag and Toad as kids.
Right.
Toad.
But I just find it interesting that like my sister and I never rebelled or never had that need to
You
rebel
will, eventually.
politically. I think this is my rebellion.
Yeah.
Being a
You're
libertarian.
libertarians.
She said fuck on the internet.
I did, and
Well-
then we deleted it 5 minutes after.
Yeah, you are very you don't like it when anyone else comments and says something bad. You're the only one allowed to say
Yeah.
offensive things.
Well, that was when I was scared about my image, and now I don't give a shit. So,
Would you all like to explain what she did for a good 10 minutes before we started, Hannah?
Hannah, you know what to do. Basic white girl the shit out of her.
Hard pass.
Hair flip. Looking at
What did you do? A hair flip? All right,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what she did.
She was
Hair
she's
flip
getting
shamer.
She's just getting her hair ready.
well, it's
Guys.
been gross all
all
day.
over me like that.
Well,
You
here's
don't
the
understand. My friends
Wow,
watch
smells
this.
great.
I know my hair
Smells like lemon and blueberry Amish bread.
Well,
No,
here's the
it does.
problem.
That
My
sounds great.
mom
That's
will
what she
always
did.
say, like, she'll see. My mom is like really controlling about fashion because she thinks that I like look terrible all the time and I'm lazy.
Like right now.
See what I mean? And so,
She tells you that you look terrible all the time. And are
well,
lazy.
she's just is always like, "Why don't you dress cute? I buy you so many cute clothes, and you never."
You're not Chloe.
You just exactly. And she's like, "You just wear a t-shirt and jeans, and you just need to wear. What about a nice dress?" And I wore a dress with Converse, and she freaked out, freaked out. And so I'm afraid that she'll see these, and she'll be like, "Your hair was sticking up at one point, and it was not brushed at this one bottom half, and blah blah blah." So I'm just looking out.
The eternal voice of the parent in our heads.
the mothering,
Yeah.
like
Well, she
Hannah
doesn't
does
talk
to
like
you.
that.
Oh yeah, Hannah's both protective and awful.
Why are you doing this? You need to do it this way. You need to do it this way.
What? I don't do that.
No, you're trying to guide Chris, young Chris, to make better decisions.
Well, because he was making some pretty terrible decisions when it came to dating.
I mean, they seemed pretty good at the time. I mean,
Can we all agree they were pretty terrible?
yeah, not looking back, but
All right.
you know, when
In the midst of it,
in the midst, it was great. It was great.
Anyways, thank you for listening to
Making
your
terrible,
libertarian- No.
making terrible decisions. Meanwhile, she's microwaving butter in foil.
no kidding. Did
Set
you
it
not?
on
That didn't
fire.
occur to you?
No, I've done it before and it's never been caught on fire.
I have all this bread. I need some butter with it.
Yeah.
I do.
She's
Kat was over here
She
worrying about her hair. And I'm,
Snapchats
like,
only
eating
things from the
food.
gym, and then when she's not Snapchatting, it's like, does anyone have any dry bread I can just roll into a ball and put in my mouth? Does anybody have any carbs?
I love carbs. Carbs are my friend.
The point is, you put aluminum foil
In a microwave.
wrapped butter in the microwave.
You can put certain amounts of foil in the microwave and it's fine.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
No, you
Did
cannot.
you miss this day at homeschool?
My microwave has a metal tray that goes in it.
This sounds like one of those special microwaves.
That's
that the NSA
a
gives you.
wood fire oven, and that is not a fucking
No, I think that's a
microwave.
microwave.
No.
oven.
You Amish are all the same.
To God, there's a metal rack in my microwave that came with my microwave that
It's a
stays
microwave
in there.
oven.
It's a microwave oven.
No, it's a microwave.
No, you have a microwave oven.
No.
it's a microwave oven.
Are you cutting costs? Is it because you're homeschooling?
We've gone totally organic.
Right. This bread is delicious. Speaking, if you see people,
I've never
eating
seen anyone
bread,
bread.
like just literally peel off pieces of bread and shove them in their mouth, like without a knife.
Have you never? Oh, yeah.
Like
that's
she's
pretty
literally like
disgusting.
taking chunks out
There's
of bread.
napkins here, weirdo.
Oh, I didn't see them. No, I brought
You wanna buy
delicious, delicious lemon and blueberry bread from
Yes,
an
thank
Amish
you for
bakery.
bringing it for everybody.
You're welcome.
Yeah, for everyone.
I provide sustenance.
Sustenance.
For
you
me.
guys,
She's a
I
snack
care
mom.
about your well-being.
She laughed about that all day last Friday. She was
That
like,
was so funny.
Greg was so funny when he said that dear leader gives me sustenance.
Sustenance.
That's not
She
how I
provides
talk.
me sustenance. She has a lisp.
Okay, so let's jump into our first story. Yesterday, a 66-year-old man from Illinois walked onto a baseball diamond in Northern Virginia and shot House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. 4 others, including a congressional staffer, a lobbyist who was a coach for the team. He was a former staffer and college baseball player, and 2 members of the Capitol Police who were also wounded in the attack. On Wednesday morning, he opened fire on a practice session.
Should we just say the shooter? Is that what you want to do?
The
That's fine
shooter,
with me.
yeah.
The shooter.
The shooter opened fire on, and again, to reiterate, we just don't want to make that name famous. We can talk about him without actually giving his name any kind of honor.
Right.
Single opened fire on a practice session. Congressional Republicans for their annual charity congressional baseball game against congressional Democrats, and this raises several $100,000 for local boys and girls charities.
Yeah.
So it's all the people go, oh, well, they should have been at work. They shouldn't have been playing baseball. It's like they're human beings. They're allowed to have lives, and they're raising money for charity.
Yeah.
But if Obama does it, then
it's bipartisan. So
Exactly.
Everybody just chill.
The Democrats were at practice too. That's the thing, and then they all got called in. Their coach called them in, saying, "Hey, we got to get you all together and get you a secure."
Breaking news, everybody: the Democrats and Republicans don't all hate each other.
Right.
Well, I hate some.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like all war.
No,
all
I mean,
the time.
this
like,
is what this, and this
know
is
that
a
blows people's
tradition.
mind.
Like it's one of the great
Right.
traditions of bipartisanship.
Everybody knows this happened, so I don't know why this is late breaking news.
Because it's something to get Republicans, shame Republicans.
It's something to bitch about.
Yeah,
it's really
exactly.
what it is. Like I posted a status of basically saying that one of the most controversial, if not the most controversial, opinion in America today is that politicians are human beings and deserve dignity and respect. And I know. And you would have thought that you should have seen the libertarian response to that.
Oh, boy.
And let me just say, I firmly believe that
statist.
That if we started to recognize politicians as human beings, then they would change as much as we would change in our public discourse. And I saw an MSNBC reporter on Chris Matthews last night, Hardball with Chris Matthews, that's his name. And she was just saying, this is the first time I've ever been on the Hill. So somebody who is the NBC congressional reporter has been there for a while. She goes, this is the first time that I've been on the Hill where everybody is being a human being first and a member of Congress second. Politics are taking a second place to being a human being to each other, and everybody's getting along, and this has changed a lot of things. And that's really when I realized, you know what, we and our expectation of politicians are that our team is supposed to hate the other team because the other team are not human beings. They're not people. They're literally people.
Eric Trump literally said that on Fox last week.
What'd he say?
He said Democrats aren't, I don't even think of them as people anymore.
Right.
And I mean, says that, and like that's the toxic environment.
That's what everybody's talking about. And I think that every listener of this audience, including all of our hosts and including me, have to sit and think about to what extent do we dehumanize the people who share different opinions than us? Not only in the people that we go to battle with on Facebook rants or on comments, but also in how we talk about politicians and how we talk about these people. I think I would encourage everybody. I wish I had the audio teed up here of Joe Barton talking about his son. Congressman Joe Barton's 2 sons were there, and he talked about how his young son was born and he was given several gifts at that time from congressional Democrats, and he often comes up to visit Capitol Hill, and he comes over, he hugs all the Republicans, and then he immediately makes a beeline for several members of Congress who are like uncles to him, including the former Congressman John Dingell. He says that his son is bipartisanship. That he is.
It's not politics first.
It's that he's just seeing human beings that he's responding to, and that it has been hard for his son, who is younger and below 10, I believe, to understand why anybody would want to come and just try and murder his friends. And I don't think that we as Americans have to hate each other and demonize each other and dehumanize each other to win at the game of ideas. And unfortunately, we're heading that direction. That's the direction that, unfortunately, I think we're on that permanent collision course. I think Trumpian politics are here to stay. Even if let's say Donald Trump gets impeached or Donald Trump doesn't win re-election and we get a Democrat in the office, everything that the Democrats are doing, they're setting a template. The Republicans set a template with Bill Clinton,
George W. Bush,
which followed the Democrats to counter-serve under Bush. Then the Republicans counter-served all that. And
if
now,
it hadn't been for 9/11, it would have been so nasty and toxic. Like, that staved off a lot of this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the statuses that I see, along with so many cliches about guns, which we'll get into, in all of this are just that, I hope that this changes the other people. I hope that this changes the discourse of them, the politicians, or this makes the left get their act together, or this will make the politicians realize that they're all violent extremists bringing violent force against us, which we do not disagree with. Government is force. Government is the force of a gun demanding that you do something.
And it's easier to accept because you're just giving it to somebody else on your behalf.
But that doesn't mean that in a counter strike you can all of a sudden start shooting people on a baseball diamond. So
over tax cuts,
right? I mean, it is not the radical left that created the 66-year-old man to go out and shoot people. It's mental illness. And the fact that we are sitting here talking about guns, we're sitting here talking about the behavior of Donald Trump and congressional Republicans and congressional Democrats, or them, that's all bullshit. The fact is this man will likely be ruled as somebody who is crazy if they were ever to get to the full bottom of this story. Every other mass shooter has just been nuts, and he is taking out his psychosis within the realm of politics as opposed to his school, And it is unfair to blame Bernie Sanders, and I just
it's unfair to blame Republicans for not supporting tougher gun law. I mean, the guy's from Illinois.
Absolutely,
he bought the guns legally, completely,
which is hard to do in Illinois.
Right? They don't like in Chicago.
They don't give those
theoretically
away
you
there.
can't get them unless you're a criminal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just sickened by so many of the cliches and everybody missing the point. And I think that this is a time when we all can sit and reflect and go, how are my words contributing to a toxic political environment? I
don't know that I want to do that.
I know. We're the mean boys of liberty. But at the same time, I think one of the founding principles of We Are Libertarians is that we must recognize the humanity of every person that exists. And you cannot be a libertarian without valuing each individual human being. And if you as a libertarian are not doing that over politicians, then you are not being libertarian.
Yeah, it's hypocritical.
You have to understand that these are human beings with emotions and feelings, and when you can then try to empathize with them, well, they don't empathize with us. Well,
where do you think that ends?
Hannah's a Christian that's married. Have you heard of The Love Dare?
Yeah, of course.
What's The Love Dare?
The Love Dare is it's this Kirk Cameron movie where basically he's getting divorced and things are just on the rocks.
I know. Yeah. Kirk Cameron getting divorced. Bad.
There's a crisis.
Yes.
And he just cannot figure out.
What's the actual movie called?
Can you Google it? It's a Kirk Cameron movie.
He's like a firefighter or something.
Yeah.
It's called
The Love Dare.
The Love Dare is
this is fascinating.
The Love Dare is the book.
It's a good story.
It's a campy little Christian
movie.
movie.
It's like a Nicholas Sparks thing.
Kind of. But basically,
he's
fireproof. He's sitting there going, I just don't understand why she won't change. And then eventually, all of his firefighting buddies just go, dude, you're the one with the problem. And I think that, and so he starts doing all these little things to try and change his behavior. And I found The Love Dare to be it didn't save my marriage, but it did extend it about 6 months because our relationship did improve because I recognized that I was doing things that were harsh and hard-hearted. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we're ever going to get leadership in politics that recognizes humanity, then we must speak to them in a humane way. And we're not doing that. We're not allowing them either to be real and authentic because then we'll vote their ass out.
Well, I will personally say, so somebody who used to be like a die-hard Republican, raised super conservative, I have come a long way from that because
you've come a long way from 2012.
I've come so far from that, and honestly, I've gotten out of politics because of the fighting. My best friend is a Bernie Sanders loving bitch. Like, that's just what she is. And I love her for it. Like, she's my best friend. I can't help it. But
she's really irritating on Facebook. You'd hate her.
my best friend is great.
She's great, but she
not that
takes
Jess
my
girl from
side
Ohio,
against yours. No, she takes my side against Chris's. That's why Chris doesn't like her.
She's like, oh my god, feminist and Bernie.
Oh, that's Amanda. Yeah. That's not.
Oh.
That's Amanda. She's also a really good friend of mine.
No,
that's fine. I have two different.
Are you
friends.
talking about Megan?
She has two friends.
Megan. I have multiple friends. I
Last
have
names,
multiple
please.
friends that are Democrat and
Yeah.
ranging in left, whatever. And we all respect each other. We don't agree with each other's opinions, but we don't talk about it because we know there's zero point in talking about it. And we're good friends. Like, we are literally my best friend. When I worked for Mitt Romney, voted for Barack Obama. Like, that's a stab in the heart. But she's my best friend. And so, like... She's, no,
then she
she
voted for
still
Barack
is.
Obama.
She still is.
Sorry.
And she voted for Bernie, and then she voted for Hillary. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so the point is, like, I just got away from the... Like, you have to separate yourself from that, and you have to really honestly realize that people are allowed to have different opinions. You're not always right. They're not always right. And that's part of it. And I will yell at anybody who... called President Obama any other derogatory term. I get angry at people who call President Trump any sort of derogatory term. Like, it's not okay. They have
I would
a level
contend
of
you
office.
hated Trump. You had like a natural aversion to Trump more so than you did even Obama.
Yeah, but still, he's still the president. And if Hillary had won, she would still be President Clinton. Like, you have to respect their offices. You don't have to disagree or agree with them. And you don't have to keep that inside of you, but you have to be respectful. You have to admit that other people are allowed to have their own opinions. And you just have to you just don't need to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I don't know.
I guess I don't necessarily
toleration.
agree. I guess
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree that you have to respect the office, but I do think that you don't need to go out of your way to... I guess really what I'm trying to say is that you need to never lose sight on the fact that, like, these people bleed. And that
they're
not
human
abstractions.
beings.
making fun of Barron Trump makes you a shitty person, for
Right.
instance.
Or holding up the head of Donald
Scowls
Trump.
expertly.
Then Kathy Lee Griffin was like,
Right.
oh, well, he wasn't against Barron. Well, he's a little kid. Of course he's going to be bothered by the fact that you're holding his dad's head. Ooh.
Well, and I think it's interesting that you brought up the point of tolerating others because you see, well, me personally, I mean, on a college campus, yeah, if you're, like I've said before, if you're a Republican, you're a Nazi, basically. Like, everybody
They wish
is...
you had been shot yesterday.
Right. Everybody's liberal. Everybody's a Democrat. But some of my best friends are Democrats or liberals, whatever. But it's just interesting because these people are some of my best friends. Yet, later that day on Facebook, and I'm sure you guys noticed, especially during the election, so many posts saying, this is it. If you support Trump, if you support so-and-so, unfriend me right now.
I unfriended some people.
Click right now because I just don't understand. And I never did. But part of me is like...
did.
I was asked to leave a wedding party.
Are you kidding?
As a groomsman. No, swear to God.
For real?
Yeah.
What?
I still got invited, but I was not a groomsman any longer.
What?
Swear to God.
Did you go to the wedding?
Yeah, of course. I don't care.
And that's the thing. It's just
Oh,
like...
I would have trolled it. I would have.
I would have.
I would have
Gone
been so
on a
mad.
MAGA shirt.
Greg's a good person.
I
No, it just doesn't matter
demand
that
an
much.
apology.
But
Does anyone have any...
I'm staging a crying at your wedding.
Apologize.
but that's just the thing. It's like they preach love and acceptance and all of this stuff for all people of different races and backgrounds and sexual orientations. Yet if you have a different political view than them,
If
It's
you're
over.
if you're center right, even if you're center right of them, if you're like Howard Dean now, he was such a oh my god,
Yeah.
like Howard Dean. If you listen to the latest Ezra Klein podcast with whoever the lady that was that helped run the tech on his campaign, you listen to that podcast about the Howard Dean campaign, and you realize how far left the modern Democratic and the progressives have gone now. To the point that the Antifa people are just like, they're Leninist revolutionaries trying to. I mean, we're back to the Weather Underground days.
Exactly.
And
The militant Soviet left.
and it's if you're just a traditional Indiana Democrat, you're
John Gregg would
You're
have
too
no
much.
home in the Democratic Party anymore.
well, and that's what I think is interesting is to combat what I just said is these people say, well, of course we don't agree with you. It's not about political parties. It's about you supporting a openly bigoted, racist, homophobic, horrible person. Like, if somebody was a Nazi, we wouldn't respect them. So that's basically you're as bad as them.
Yeah, you are a Nazi because Trump's a Nazi.
I'd
Because
just be like, have you met Hillary Clinton?
But the point,
she
like,
eats children, she drinks
She's
their
like
blood.
actually a horrible person.
she has
Pretends
Kuru
to
disease.
dab.
Yeah.
She's creepy.
The reality is that we used to have labels for people's ideologies, ideologies.
It was disagreements of political philosophy.
People used to think, is my point.
Yep.
And so now you can't label emotions. Like, you can label emotions like angry and sad, but when you start spiraling into, well, he is all these adjectives, and you just can't even challenge it. It's a bizarre state of the world, and it's led us to a darker place, and I just don't know how we can't fix other people. All we can do is just focus on our behavior and trying to find out rational, reasonable sources like this, where we're trying to create a home for people who don't fit into all these crazy, like, we're not extremists.
No, I mean we're very much pragmatic, but above all else, we're moderate. We have our views, but we're not going to say we need to do this today. I'm a libertarian, but I'm not saying we need private police in Southport, Indiana, right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what we're not even remotely ready for that. It'd be counterproductive, and so it's sad. I mean, I don't know what you do. Donald Trump's kind of the perfect culmination of all this because he's an abstraction. Do any of you think of Donald Trump as a person? I don't.
I've lost track of him. Yeah.
Like, but I mean, I never remember him being a person first, because it was Trump, the brand, the bigger than life.
Well, and that's
it's always been a buffoonish, like, abstraction or thought.
Right. And that's interesting. I've never thought of him, and it's not like in a derogatory sense. It's true. Like, he's the brand, except for, was it Ivanka who just posted that picture of, like, it was like a cartoon of, like, God hugging Donald Trump and said, like, please pray for my father.
Yep.
Right.
And that kind of, I was like,
he's real.
Right. And even me, I'm not like a huge Trump hater. I mean, I don't like the guy, but I'm not one of those people out on the front lines. And even me, that was like, wow, like, you take a step back. So I'm like, can't imagine if that did anything for the actual psychos, but probably not. But.
No, I mean, that's the thing, is the lines are drawn. And then a lot of it, too, is like, this guy, I think he was rational because he talked to the mayor, the former Democratic mayor of Alexandria, lost this last November, but he went to the same YMCA that this guy was out in the lobby using his laptop all day on forums and on internet, on the websites. And so he was completely rational. He was talking to him. He goes, hey, I'm from Illinois. I'm here for a trip, and then I'm looking for work. He's a former home inspector. That's what his job was.
Right.
And so his business shut down. He left his wife back in Belleville, Illinois. And so he was asking him for work. He asked him for restaurant recommendations. He was asking him for all different kinds of things. And every time politics was brought up, they'd say something negative about Trump, or it'd be a conversation with the group. He would keep it to himself, or be like, "Yeah, I agree with you guys," and was very, very, like, that's what was scary to me, how he behaved, and the fact that he shuts down his business, almost self-radicalizes with progressivism and his entire existence had become the internet.
Right.
How
Like,
long
he was
had that
sitting in
been
the
going
lobby.
on?
2 months. He left Illinois.
I think it was I'll bet you it was a chemical imbalance. Like, something snapped in his head.
I mean,
I'll bet you.
so you're saying his entire existence became the internet.
He became an obsession because he volunteered.
I'm running away. I'm hiding
Yeah.
right now.
Basically, he was a leftist shitlord. And then
Did he
James
have a
Neese threatened to sew him out of
podcast?
a helicopter, and then here we are. Fuck you, cat.
What'd you say?
Why don't you
So
check
did he have
your
a
mirror
podcast?
again?
Shut up.
But yeah, I mean, he really went down the well because he's talked to his wife, but he just went on. The neighbor came and asked, is he okay? And
Right.
asked the wife, and she did an interview with ABC yesterday. And he just went on a trip for a couple months and lived out of a white van. Used the
Wow.
YMCA to shower and work out, and then used their internet all day, sitting in their. But that's the thing, is the mayor was like, this was a stable guy, like no. Like irrational anger.
Yeah, but that happens. Like, that's
Yeah.
part of mental. I mean, anything.
Yeah, you
If
can be
get
calm.
sick and you just, like, you're fine one day and you're literally.
I just
dying
wonder if he
sick the
didn't
next.
spin himself into a frenzy reading only like reaffirming things.
Hey,
Honestly, I wish we could delete Facebook and Twitter and all social media from everything. I feel
I'm
like that would
not.
help
I'm not
so
gonna lie.
much.
As much as I love social media because it gives me a career and it's given us a platform, I'll tell you Did any of you see the piece on 60 Minutes this past week on
Aaron Andrews and then
on your phones? And we'll have to put these in the show notes on wearelibertarians.com, but this piece on the cell phones that the Google ethicist basically,
you were telling me about that.
He is now speaking out saying your phones are incredibly addictive.
More so than any drug you could take.
It is changing your brains. Like we did an episode somewhere in the 100s that I saw where we talked about books where
long form reading's gone. There's no attention span time for it.
Right.
I used to love to read, and I struggle with reading now.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
It's terrible. Like, there are days I wish I could just go back to it. Like, I'm really tempted to go back to a flip phone, not gonna lie.
Yeah, because the dopamine hit
it's enormous
of these devices and of Facebook that they basically were saying that this one guy who runs a neuromarketing digital firm in LA.
They basically just exploit and try to rewire your brain.
Yeah, they hold, like Instagram, for instance. Instagram holds likes and then releases the likes.
Based on an algorithm perfectly designed to get you to come back.
Kat, what were you doing?
Literally.
Instagram?
Well, actually, I was, but I was just checking. My mom just sent a text. Funny. Shooting on I-465, which is the interstate in Indiana. Somebody was shooting at a truck with a Make America Great Again flag and sticker.
Really?
Is that confirmed, or is that from Conservative Treehouse?
Well, that's why I was on Facebook. I was on Facebook trying to see if it was real or not.
Did Washington Post do fake news again?
Isn't that interesting that she just went to Facebook to fact check that and not
Yeah.
Google?
Well, that's the thing. Oh, yeah.
It's faster.
Facebook is, for people 45 to 25, 64 or 6% of our information originates from there.
Yeah.
Which is terrible because Facebook is full of fake news and everybody knows it.
Exactly.
And that's like what the friends
Especially
do.
we are
But-
libertarians.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason I check it, it's faster. Like, do you know how it's annoying when there's like when I was in high school there was a shooting at a
I shouldn't laugh.
yeah.
Did you
don't know why.
date him?
Yeah, it was my boyfriend. No,
It's
Yeah.
weird.
somebody
You pull that
shot
up,
up the supermarket that's like 5 minutes from my house, and we were just refreshing the. You're laughing. You're
the live
terrible.
feed.
Goddamn cantaloupes!
Hey, 2 people died. No, but we were like,
For real?
yeah, no, it was messed up.
Feel
But
kind of bad now.
we were somebody's mom. No, but we were like refreshing the news app over and over.
Dead moms are not funny.
And it takes forever for the news to actually update.
They weren't updating.
Yeah.
Because they have to check facts.
Yeah, they're hamstrung because they have to get 2 sources before they can publish.
Yeah.
And whereas other places can go on
Like
an
blogs and just-
anonymous source if you're Washington Post
Exactly.
Yeah.
or New York Times.
But
That's what I mean. That's what they did today.
Yeah. So it is. It's just it's maddening, and I'm not by any means one of these people who thinks that the internet or anywhere should be censored. But after watching that 60 Minutes piece on the cell phones, you know, where like Instagram just basically holds back likes and then dumps them, so you get notifications at a time specifically tailored to you. That they know you may have a break in your day because we are rhythmic creatures, and so then it lures you into your phone, and now we're at a point where 2 out of every 5 minutes for most people are spent on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an incredible statistic.
Yeah, I mean, it is the operating system of the new world. Like it
Yeah.
is Microsoft Windows, just in
Yeah.
a different form.
2 of the best decisions I ever made. The first one was turning off push notifications for Facebook.
Yes.
Yep, I did that.
Second
All
one-
notifications for all
The second one
apps.
was deleting my Facebook app. And now, in order to check Facebook, I have to either be on my computer or actually log on to the Facebook site on my phone, which
Yeah.
is a
Sent from
pain.
browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but for real, like
Yeah.
those 2 items like changed my life, and except for my mom and a few people that would kill
Say
me if I
marrying
deleted
Todd
Facebook,
would be
I
your
would
best
probably
decision.
delete Facebook.
So my thing is where does it end? Is this going to turn into, like, for example, a super, hipster and trendy thing to do is to, oh yeah, we ride our bikes everywhere instead of
absolutely.
driving.
It already is.
So do you think the new trendy thing is, because I've heard a few like celebrities talk about it, you think the new trendy thing is, yeah, I got rid of my smartphone, I just have a flip phone? You
I
think
think
we're
it
going to go
Oh,
backwards?
absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
I think so.
Because Ed Sheeran just took a year off to do music. He was like, yeah, I don't have a phone anymore, I just have an
Andrew
iPad.
Luck has a flip phone.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe, and I think I've said it on the show before, that I think by the end of this year you will see a movement starting to appear of people who are taking a stand against using social media and spending all their time on their phone. Because I just think that we're starting to recognize that after 9-10 years of having all these things, it's great, but it is hurting us in a way that is
so many
that
ways.
that is not good. But at the same time,
The question is it hurting us or is it just changing us?
It's changing us,
Well-
but at the same time, I think I can tell you I am not as smart as I was before 2010 when I got an
I haven't
iPhone.
had a good night's sleep since I was 16 and I got my iPhone.
You're kidding.
Well,
Because I check it. I'm on it constantly. It was close, and then
I sleep texted her sister this morning. I sleep texted Chloe.
something that was very interesting is last week, I think, I was with Chloe. We were doing mock panel judges for Miss Indiana contestants. So we were, like, doing their interview, like mock interviews. And the girls had to come up with a platform. And then another question on their, like, resume is, if you had another platform, what would it be? All of the girls, ages, I don't know, Miss Indiana contestants are what, 18 to 22-ish,
Yeah.
23-ish? All of them, their second platform would be social media and how it is bad and affecting their generation.
well,
Really?
and
Yeah, all of them.
I think
I have noticed in having interns and being around a lot of interns, the younger millennials, people like our friend Jeff Ibbert, for instance, or Kat, they're very protective about what information is actually put out about them. Whereas the older millennials like myself just don't really care because it was so new
Yep.
and we were old enough to make the decision as to what we would put out there or not. Whereas Kat had Snapchat in high school. Like we
God.
didn't have cell phones in high school.
well,
You know?
No, I got my first cell phone when I got my driver's license.
Right.
well,
And that was a flip phone.
And the interesting thing is that a part of our school curriculum was based on social media and how, like,
Which parts?
social media bullying, I guess.
Oh, cyberbullying, yeah.
Cyberbullying. There
Greg's
you
an
go.
expert.
Greg's an expert,
I didn't
right?
invent it, but I made it an art form.
But it's so funny because in elementary school, that what the heck was that? But it wasn't until middle and high school is when it was really really pushing on cyberbullying, less on physical bullying. That's why
psychological bullying's way worse.
right, and that's why, like, when these shows come out, like Netflix's 13 Reasons Why, and you see these kids, or you watch old movies or TV shows from early 2000s, late 90s, and you see these kids getting older. You see these kids getting
Fucking ageist.
like beaten up and their lunch money stolen, and it's just so unrealistic. But the people in charge of these TV shows and movies, because that's how it was, that's how
Then.
bullying was then, they think that's how it is, and so it's
No.
really not registering for kids because
It's not
now
relevant.
it's
It's not our
all
experience.
online. It's
Yeah.
all online.
So the 60 Minutes piece talked about it was by Anderson Cooper, and Anderson had all these. You've eaten half a loaf of blueberry bread, Hannah. Stop
this
it.
is my second slice, and the butter is soft now.
I might need a
Also
little
on
bit of that.
fire. It's been singed around the edges.
I
fine.
love.
Burnt butter is
We have a
okay.
chair just off camera, and Mittens is just
Judging.
judging the shit out of Hannah.
It's
The literal
feline bullying.
lack of shits that I give about how. Oh my god, he's so judging
Yeah.
me.
Look at it's so awesome.
Just assume the cat's gender.
I'll post
Hey,
a photo of it on.
Don't
the
check
Instagram.
your Facebook because they are just cyberbullying the shit out of you right now.
I know who me.
No, the cat.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cat space.
I basically have. I will take a photo and put that up on our Instagram. But
That was so bad. That was terrifying, guys. I think he's gonna come kill me in my sleep.
well, if you keep misassuming her gender, she's going to. So, in this piece, Anderson Cooper had his phone just out of reach, and they hooked him up to all these monitors, and they started texting him. And every time that he had a text message and he couldn't read it, he had all these like physiological reactions.
Neuroses, yeah.
And they've determined that moment causes cortisol. That if your phone is out of reach and you hear a ding, cortisol shoots. So your phone is making you fat. Cortisol is the hormone.
I'm throwing my phone away right now.
Right, like so.
Give me some more blueberry bread with butter.
That's not the phone, honey.
Yeah. Podcast audio bullying.
Fuck off, bitch.
Yeah.
Might be that bread and that extra helping of butter you just spread all over there.
Sorry, you can't sit at this table anymore. You're not a plastic.
That's good Irish cream butter. So
It looks delicious.
Yeah, I'm
very
about to
good.
have a little bit like that.
so
It's a little hard still, but it works.
you have cortisol is the stress hormone, and it is basically the biological reason that you have cortisol is that it says, hey, we're in danger of dying, store this fat, store this energy. So your phone is making you fat. That is a lot of
So that's
butter,
released
Kat.
from the anxiety
Can
from
I
not being able to
officially-
check.
You're,
All right,
yep.
this is my phone.
Yeah, gone.
That's an Opal. Nobody's impressed.
Yeah, it's a Samsung.
It's an Obama phone.
No, it's actually
a piece of
a
shit.
Motorola, and it's really a piece of shit. I'm getting a new phone. Oh, I'm getting a new phone either this month or next.
Nice.
So we'll see what I get.
Get a flip phone.
I might.
Do it.
I mean, and here's the thing, and
Social.
correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so middle school, because I got my first I got the iPhone 4 in white.
Of course you did.
Right, of course. 2012, I think. Yeah. So I was a sophomore in high school, 16th birthday, and I know I was little.
Oh man.
And then, so 4 years ago, 4 years ago, it was horrible, the amount of texting during class.
Well,
texting
they eventually
during the
installed
dinner
those
platter,
machines to knock out wireless service. But
Right.
then people just logged on the internet.
texting during this, texting during that. I mean, people were glued to their phones. And I think now, 3-4 years later, I think people are glued to their phones, but I think not necessarily. I feel like a courtesy was kind of learned. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Because I feel like people my age especially, I don't look in class and, people aren't texting nonstop.
Glued to their phone all the time.
But
Yeah.
I think our ages.
So I don't-
Mine is definitely.
Is it?
So,
Well, I know for our generation, and then so I'm I'm gonna be 32, but for us, there's actually it's a phenomenon called flubbing. So when you're out at dinner with friends and all you're doing is looking at your phone, it's flubbing. So it's phone ignoring.
yeah.
That's
it's a
the
thing.
phrase for it.
See, and I don't
Because
know
you're
if
sitting there
it's-
looking at your phone while you're doing a podcast
Right.
and not paying attention.
I'm listening. It's flubbing.
Well, and
It's
I
where you
don't
go clubbing. Flubber.
Right.
Jiggle to the left.
And I don't know if it's just I kind of caught
too.
the end of learning about cyber, because I feel like older people, it was all just, wow, check out these cool new products. But my generation really caught the first wave of, hey, we're starting to recognize problems. So we
You're
learned.
not so addicted. Because also, you guys, it's interesting. You don't have user patterns that mirror ours. We were obsessed with Facebook, so we came from MySpace, transitioned
Right.
over. Then it was Twitter is cool, but then we got bored with it. You guys are distributed across a bunch of different
Yeah.
ones, like Visco,
Yeah.
then Tumblr for you and your
What's
Taylor Swift
Visco?
blog.
Right.
It's
It's
a Instagram competitor.
it's like a photography app.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm old.
I think I don't know. I think it's interesting. I just think my age group, we caught the first wave of learning about courtesy with phones, with smartphones, with that kind of stuff. So
Was that learned, or was it was that reactive that you just observed and noticed, or was it proactive drilled into you?
I remember a few my public speaking classes. We would learn about business classes, job interview classes. Whenever job fair people would come.
Professional development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know the word obviously, but not professional. But yeah, so I don't know, and I can only imagine it must be worse for younger kids. I know I think elementary or middle and high school kids now that I know still, all they do, it's less thought driven and more image driven.
Yeah.
So all they are on is Snapchat and Instagram. Whereas my age group, Hannah's age group, it's all about here's Twitter, my open diary. Here's Facebook.
Let me tell you what I'm eating right now.
Exactly.
The idea of sitting down and reading a book.
Ooh, I bet he tastes nasty. Not that I would know.
The idea of sitting down and reading a book for generations after ours is gone. We are now going to return to storytelling and verbal storytelling in the way that Homer shared information. You had these stories being told and passed down through generations as a way of remembering because they didn't have writing. And I think that's really where we're headed. We're heading towards digital memory, and
We still communicate
photos.
even more efficiently because we use photos and audio,
Right.
and so you can make the argument that it's way more efficient because you're actually sending and transmitting more information
much
than
quicker.
just text.
But so I want to tie this all back to the shooting because I feel occasionally a little like there's a psychosis around my use of my phone. Do you ever just get there's this weird feeling that I have sometimes when I don't have my phone or I'm not near my phone or I just I don't know, I just get I get crazy, or I just am anxiety, yeah, and I wonder in the older generations, such as the baby boomer generation, the shooter was of the baby boomer generation. They've really taken Facebook by storm and turned it into a real shithole.
My grandma's hilarious.
So I think we're much more thoughtful about a lot of I don't see a lot of younger people going hard on the Facebook. It's the older generations who are I don't know if they just get old and go senile and just start saying the craziest shit online, but
I think it's
it's your older Aunt Donna who's posting shit where you're just like,
Oh my gosh.
what?
I troll the crap out of some of those old
And I don't know what
so
that
easy.
I don't know what that is, but I'm wondering if just social media has just kind of elevated that disconnection that sometimes I even feel.
But think about it, like those older people, I say this with all love in my heart because I have some grandparents who are this way, but like they were the racists. They were the racists. They were they were the anti, like the 70s, the love whatever.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Yeah, pretty much. And so they've all felt this way for a very long time, and now they have a platform to like actually blast their beliefs, and they don't understand that when they were doing that when they were younger, they were with people that agreed with them, but now it's on a social media. Like they don't understand the concept of social media. They just think that they can get on there and blast all their stuff in all caps, and everybody's going to agree with them. They don't understand.
All caps. Those.
They do.
Oh God, yeah.
No.
Why are you screaming?
I'm
they
friends
don't-
with a lady named Pearl Sparkman. This lady, she posts some of the craziest all cap stuff
Well,
I've
and
ever
you
seen.
have to think.
They just don't grasp like that concept.
And so in the same way that Kat only sees cat-aged people, this guy is seeing baby boomer nut jobs there, and they have the same level of argument, only probably a little more vicious, that we do on ours.
Well, and here's the thing, 2 points. One, I think also it's because Facebook is such a user-friendly platform.
It would have never won out if it wasn't.
And here's the
God
the
bless
thing.
Mark Zuckerberg.
That age group, they're not as
Right.
They're not good with technology, so they're not going to be able to learn 2, 3, 4 new platforms. Facebook's easy and it's available,
It's like a phone company.
and it's everything they need. It's Facebook. If you think about it, like Instagram, Twitter, it stole from
Send
Facebook.
money.
Right.
Money,
Instagram
everything.
is owned by Facebook.
Yep.
Like
they bought
they
'em.
stole from it and they bought it. So it's why learn all these separate platforms when they can just use one big one. It's easy.
Well, it's economies of scale. Like it makes
Exactly.
any network is direct. Like any network, every time someone joins it, it actually doubles in value. Like
Right.
More so, what is that law? It's like a K factor or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so any network that's that way, and that's why they inevitably take over and win viral growth.
Well, and the other thing is that if I didn't know better, okay, so I know you. It's funny, but Tumblr, for example, very young kids use it. Very liberal. It's the
Yeah.
most liberal website.
Oh yeah.
And
That's why I mock it and make fun of it because it's a
it's
snowflake
hilarious.
convention.
Well, and here's the thing: if I didn't know better, I'm scrolling through Tumblr. Let's say I had no knowledge of politics. Doesn't matter how old I am. I would completely be consumed. Like
Right.
these kids are so crazy, so hateful. They're the ones. That's the platform I was talking about. The kids who say,
They're the ones that like twist professors' necks, and
Oh, yeah.
even though they're liberal, the professor's liberal, they're just willing to allow diversity
exactly.
of opinion.
They're the ones who are saying, "Wow, we need to enslave white people." Like the craziest stuff
That's
that we
the only
make
way we'll
fun
get
of.
social justice.
I dare you.
Well, and the craziest,
Try.
the craziest stuff that we make fun of comes a lot of times from those young kids on Tumblr. And like I said, if I didn't know any better and I was just scrolling through Tumblr, I mean, some of the stuff, the rhetoric they use, I would believe it.
Oh, it's dystopian. Like,
I mean-
it's so far removed from actual reality, but in that cocoon, in that incubator, it's like it's almost a constant battle to see who can have the most shock value.
Exactly. And here's the thing. They have little nuggets of truth in there. They have little fact checks in
Right.
there. Like, they're very good at what they do. I mean, they're just
They're
a
good at
persuasive
crafting a
group.
narrative and only using things that support their
Exactly.
positions.
So it's just, that's what scares me is these younger and younger kids are using platforms, whereas Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, if you say that kind of stuff, you'll get called out. But Tumblr, no other older, because Tumblr's a very hard interface to use. It's compared to
Well, I mean,
Facebook,
it's not a
Twitter.
natural. Like it's like a picture blogging platform, and you're not used to like interacting with others on it. It's just purely like promotion,
Exactly.
like a food diary,
Right. And I'm 20.
like a keto diary.
Keto diary,
good
right.
God.
And I'm 20, and
Did you
I'm,
really say that?
Yeah,
like, I know a lot about social media, but for
hair flip.
20. But Tumblr is just, I've been on it for like a year and a half, and I still am like, I don't know about this. So it's just these younger and younger kids who are getting incorporated into it, are having these ideas, and I'm like, this is the root of the problem. Like, it's Tumblr. Like, this is where these people are coming from, and I think they're starting to bleed over to the bigger platforms.
They can. I mean, everything's going to go that way though, because everything's driven. It's like the Instagram algorithm. So, like
Yeah.
that was what I was kind of writing about in that article. Is that the better Facebook gets at giving you what you're already wanting, the more your time you're going to spend on it.
Yeah.
So it has a specific like disincentive to never give you anything new that you may not click on or expose you to anything you dislike that you've already showed a preference for. So it just gradually keeps feeding you. It creates an echo chamber. And then it amplifies, because the more time you spend on something, you can't help but become consumed by it, and you kind of go from like this guy went from a passionate Bernie supporter. Mm-hmm. He wanted to stand up to corporate greed and corruption.
Which is fair.
Yep, and absolutely, it's completely fair, because that is the whole, like a lot of libertarianism. The whole point is that government always ends up being corrupt.
Right.
You know, it's not that the government is an evil entity; it's that people end up exploiting it to force it on others, and then take advantage of it by using it to buy influence. Mm-hmm. And so, this guy wasn't a weird guy. Like, he was a Bernie volunteer, passed out flyers. They interviewed people that he supported or worked with. Yes, he was passionate, but no, he wasn't a radical. This is all the way up until like last week when the mayor talked to him in the lobby of the YMCA, the former mayor. And so then, though, where does it cross over when your world becomes so narrow and so intense that you just lose grasp on reality?
Yeah.
There's just like it's like some step.
He snapped.
Yeah, it was a slow boil, but then something happened but he was calm, and so he watched behavior to see when was a good opportunity to, that he could exploit and go after them. And he went and legally purchased 2 guns. Purchased a 9mm and then a 7.62 caliber rifle
in Virginia.
No, in Illinois, legally.
Wow.
Yeah, completely legally.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because he'd been charged for battery, but it was dismissed, and it was a domestic style dispute with his daughter and her boyfriend.
He probably didn't like the boyfriend.
Yeah,
he
was probably libertarian. He was probably a condescending libertarian talking about, if you would just read Rothbard.
Your cat is freaking me out.
Your cat. My cat knows people. She knows
It's a
people
good judge
really
of
well.
character.
She's staring at you right now. He, she, it, whatever it is.
And now it's judging Spangle for associating with you.
Yep.
Like, it's like legit.
She's just cutely sitting on a chair. It's so adorable.
Perch.
Cats are terrible creatures.
Check it out on We Are Libertarians
Awful
Instagram.
human beings.
If she could, she would have a fake doll of your head hanging from her right paw.
Man, I got to tell you, cats are the ultimate predators. I love
Oh, yeah.
them.
Blood.
So yeah, I think that the premise of your article that you wrote, and get into it a little more deeply, that we're building these silos.
And we don't even mean to.
Right.
Because these things we use to communicate and where we're getting our news from are specifically designed to keep us coming back, to give us anxiety when we don't check them.
Right.
To remap our neural networks so that we only can take short bursts, 140 characters, bullet notes. Like, most people, I used to love, most books are bad right now. That's the other thing, is if you go to the book section and go to the political or current affairs, it's Bill O'Reilly porn. Like, it's no great thinker. It's, people who have a group of fans, and so they give them a book. Like Milo.
Melissa
Yeah, exactly.
Donahue?
Except she's self-published. Awkward. And but then like Milo Yiannopoulos.
Fan of herself.
Right, like
Milo?
well, but I mean, he's no great thinker, but he was given a
No.
$250,000 book deal
Yeah.
because he had a group of people that would buy it, not because he was good at his craft.
It's everything is that way. I mean, that's why chicks on the right have a freaking radio.
Rob Kendall's
show.
their producer.
I know he is. Oh, Rob.
Yeah,
I'm
but
invited to his wedding. Are you, Chris?
you
you guys, they hashed it out.
I know.
Yes,
They're besties.
I'm only going to the wedding unless there's an apology.
Speak now or forever hold
Well,
your
I'm
peace.
going to the wedding, so.
It's gonna be fun,
I'll be
like
your
your
date.
wedding.
Speaking of weddings, Chris Spangle still has never bought me a wedding present.
Oh, that's
Your
when's your 1 year
wedding was
anniversary?
Over a
last
year ago.
yeah, it was last
Oh.
July.
It was
See,
last March.
Oh, that's right.
see, I missed. You have to have the gift in before a year after, so I do apologize. You're right. That was very bad of me.
Did you just publicly apologize?
I did. I owe her an
I
apology.
told you she's the only girl that can like boss you around.
No, that's not true.
I
No,
was not
she-
expecting that.
I'm-
Apology not accepted.
I'm
but
in the
thank
wrong.
You.
I'm in the wrong.
But 'cause that was March. Oh, yeah, that's right at the end of March because it was nice
Yeah,
out
it
that
was
day.
the end of March. Yeah, it was 70 degrees the end of March.
I
It
have
was a
lots of
great
bootleg
day.
footage from the wedding if you want to see it.
We got to see
You-
Kat's sister's most awkward white person dance moves I
They
have ever
were
seen.
great.
They're terrible.
Horrendous
They were
would be a
hilarious.
good description.
Cat is
She came to my wedding, or came early and fluffed my dress. She was literally laying underneath my dress.
You guys
fluffing it.
became besties like right before your wedding.
Yeah, we pretty
She
much
did-
became besties.
she did it
right
just
out
to
the
get
gate.
She
Invite.
infiltrated.
I basically
Bitten her to
create.
not get an invite.
I have created a network of my own misery. I take all these women in the past that I tried to date, I put them in a group chat, they become best friends, and then they just make fun of me.
Then they tell you.
I never got put in that.
Yeah, you did. You
No, I
quit.
didn't. Did I?
You quit. You're
I
like, these
don't-
basic bitches suck.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
You
Did you
did.
try to date me? No.
No, but I liked seeing your cleavage.
Did you notice there's none?
I've never wanted to date you.
You're full of crap.
No, I'm dead serious.
No, you're full of crap.
I just
Because
liked
you tell
you.
everybody. You tell everybody, yeah, there was this one time she was over at my house.
Oh, that is true.
And we just looked at each other and we thought about cuddling. Side note, I never had that thought run through my head.
No, that is true.
You
There
say
was
that.
a moment.
And then we're like,
There was a
oh,
moment.
no, that'd be weird.
We were both lonely
False.
and
It was
vulnerable.
in person
No.
sliding in DMs.
It was.
It was Chris.
IRL
It
DMs.
was me wanting to watch a movie and him wanting to
And
cuddle.
if you would have just had a flip. Oh,
Mittens just basically spilled 42 ounces of water.
And the
Kat-
chain of events.
Kat just spilled beer all over my computer.
I'm going to go get
Do we
paper
have
towel.
to
Let's just
And here's
take
a
a.
bunch of napkins.
We'll take a break.
I just flipped it all up in the air.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We had quite a chain reaction of events. Mittens jumped up on the table
His
and
cats are evil.
knocked over 48 ounces of water, which is a lot of water, and that cascaded over to
Cat's lap.
the cat's lap, and your cat Anagnos's lap, which made her wildly swing her arms into a beer, which then started fizzing everywhere.
No, I tried to move it out of the way, and
And-
I didn't squeeze it, but it exploded.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's got freakish strength.
Yeah.
and
Got a
then
good grip.
I threw my
Pretty
computer.
dented in.
I moved my computer out of the way, and then I stood up, I got the stuff, I handed paper towels to the girls, and I said, in my mind, uh-oh. And then I had to go to the restroom.
It was a Harry get the door
And-
moment.
And then
So to cover my shame, I sprayed too much Febreze, which led you to where?
So he sprayed at least 3/4 of the can of Febreze in there.
3/4 or 3/5.
Right. And I had to pee, so I went in there, and all of a sudden I come out, and they're like, "Are you okay? You look a little..."
Flushed and like
She was peaked.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm about to have a panic attack and pass out from inhaling too much Febreze.
chemical warfare.
Like I had to get a drink of water. I had to sit down. I was like, I think I'm about to pass
She
out.
had literally the vapors.
I know.
I was like, oh god.
She's still not
That-
fully like, she's a little disheveled right now. She's not got her
Your
wits about
hair,
her.
your hair needs fixed.
Selfie time.
Right. No, I was in the bathroom. All of a sudden, I was like, and I was like, oh god.
That's what I do in the bathroom too. Yeah.
But yeah, it just. I almost passed out. All of our equipment almost got destroyed.
That shit was so bad. Spangle had to change his shorts.
He literally, Hannah. The first
literally
thing Hannah
changed
says,
shorts.
"Did you change your shorts?"
I went to
It's
the
not what you think.
I went to the restroom, and all of a sudden I heard silence, and they're all on the back porch. I'm like, I chased them out with my own.
I did it because I was like, he probably wants privacy if he had to skirt over there that quick. And now Kat's checking her reflection.
She is looking in the.
You guys made a comment.
Yeah,
It was pretty
Wow,
bad.
I do look like I'm.
you do.
not-
You look sick.
You've lost the blood in your face.
Pinch your cheeks a little.
I didn't cook those hamburgers enough, and I got attacked by the
cook
hamburgers.
your hamburgers
And so
enough?
I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna change into some basketball shorts instead of like my work shorts. And I
My
walked-
cargos, my
I walked
formal
out,
cargos.
And Hannah immediately, never missing an opportunity to
Yes.
nitpick me, goes, you changed your pants? Yes. Did you shit your pants?
Honestly, though, what else would you think? You went
That's
to the
exactly
restroom
right.
for an extended period of time. You mustard gassed your house, and then you came out in gym shorts with a pattern matching your Trump cat shirt.
And the sad part
Fashion
is,
forward.
I almost passed out, not from Spangle smell, but from the smell
Yeah.
of covering it up.
Yes.
And that's always the worst.
It's like they said about Watergate. It's not the crime,
They
it's the
don't
cover up.
mix.
no.
They do not mix.
I should have just left my shame lingering in the air.
You smell that?
I just love
That's
calling.
what the kale I had this morning.
I love calling shit shame.
Yeah. Have you ever smelled this much fiber in the morning?
All right, let's start. Let's talk a little bit more about the shooting. Do we want to talk more about what you covered in your article, or are we done with that? You
Well, I
wanna-
mean, I think people get the gist of it. It's one of those things. I think everyone's. It isn't intentional. But our whole world is designed for customization. You know, we get pissy if we can't get the exact version of whatever we want in a tailored experience in anything in our life.
Right.
You know, you get upset that I didn't want that one. I wanted the white iPhone 4.
right,
You know, like you don't want just the black one.
right.
But so
Taking a video.
that entitlement, like that expectation, has been that is, it created a world where these self-learning algorithms and like artificial intelligence just cocoon us completely from exposure to any other ideas.
Right.
And I think it raises an interesting question, because what happens when, we're talking about the Civil War, because a couple social scientists have published papers saying that polarization is as bad as it was pre-Civil War. And the thing was, though, Civil War is pretty simple. Obviously slavery and state sovereignty. Like, do they have the right as a state to pull out?
Right.
And so that isn't the case, though, now. Now outrage is so individualized and personalized. I was making the point that, like, Lincoln would have to give a custom version of the Gettysburg Address to every single individual that he wanted to convince.
Yeah.
And that's not possible.
I mean, John Brown would just start murdering people because they hurt his feels at this point.
Right. And then they'd only, but Facebook knows and Twitter knows and Instagram knows they're only going to put you around people that already believe like you. And most of the time, they're even more passionate. And so it's just like a slow boil until you work yourself into a frenzy.
Right. I'm so distracted by Kat, like, taking selfies. It's
I'm
hilarious.
just promoting We Are Libertarians as a show. I'm feeling
appreciate it.
very attacked right now. I almost died in that bathroom.
I don't think you guys
You would have been
appreciate
the first.
I feel lightheaded.
You would have been the first wall martyr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was unwilling. I just really had to pee.
Yeah.
Story of my life.
And then Spangle waged fecal jihad.
There was a fecal
Too much.
urgency that was just, it was very aggressive.
God.
So is there anything we can do? Is this just the new world?
I think it's twofold. I mean, I do think events like this end up being inflection points where people want a softening tone.
Right.
I think that it was something we talked about right after the election, because a lot of people thought I was just like so pro-Trump, and it wasn't that I was pro-Trump, is that this movement has been brewing for a while.
Absolutely.
And it's still brewing. But every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the people that are most easy, or the type of messaging that would defeat a Trump and sort of moderate and tone down society would be the more rational, the calm-minded, more like a statesman. People,
Right.
Preaching love and toleration.
But nobody
because
wants-
people will want that in time.
But they don't want Dick Lugar.
No, it has to be the right. Obviously, everything has to be the right messenger.
Right.
It has
Richard
to
Murdoch.
be right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it can't be. There can't be the disconnect between the messenger and the message.
Right.
Like it wouldn't work if you threw Oprah out. It just seemed cheap, and that you want anybody celebrity can be president, or
Right.
whatever. But it'll be someone that shocks you and you don't necessarily see coming.
Sure.
Like Barack Obama.
Exactly. High-minded, above the fray, and just takes it was a storm because it was all authentic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they've said Mark Zuckerberg.
He's laying the groundwork.
He is.
It'll never happen. Like
He's too autistic.
exactly. Like
He's literally, I mean, and I don't mean that derogatory. I mean, you
No.
watch a video of him, and
Yeah.
he
he
is
paints
very
by
awkward.
numbers
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah.
incredibly brilliant, but.
at his craft.
Right. And you have to have a level of connection with the people.
A Bill Clinton that was a little bit like
Like Hillary.
like I feel your pain, that kind of thing. Someone that
Right.
is more of an advocate, but then still not like sappy, like falling down bleeding heart liberal.
Right.
So you think, okay, so because Trump, technically, a lot of people consider him a media person because
Only.
he had his own TV show and whatnot. His
His whole
businessman
like
first,
book and career has been how to manipulate
book,
the media.
career, all of that kind of stuff. And so he broke through. Now, do you think we're going to see rock stars or
No, I think that you're going to
Kanye
see.
wants to run.
Kanye? You know
I
what I
think
mean?
you're going to see people enter primaries. I don't think anyone will ever be able to do what he did.
no.
He took advantage of the right place at the right time.
He was it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But he had
to watch.
he didn't win with the usual electorate. Like he brought out new voters for the first. I mean, 30% of his voters in the primaries were first-time Republican registering individuals, and
Right.
22 of those were first-time voters.
right.
That can't be done. Like, and that's only because they were so attached personally to Trump, which is why they don't give a shit about him being a hypocrite. They're Trump
Exactly.
fans first, and they trust him. And if that's what he decides, that's what they believe.
And the party's second. They don't care about
Well,
the party.
the party didn't even want him.
And
Exactly.
There's a huge part of me that really wants to believe in the good of people and believe that people like Kanye West will not actually be considered as viable options.
But people say that exact same thing about Donald Trump.
I know.
I
And-
said it on this podcast
I
every
know.
episode.
Yeah. So that's just
Oh, that's so terrifying.
what makes me interested, I guess, is how far is this going to go? Like, is Donald Trump the breakthrough, or was this just a fluke?
He's the inflection point. So then it'll tip back in the opposite direction because people don't want this. What we have now is such a rabid, angry, toxic environment. It doesn't even it's to the point where the own government bureaucracy has turned on the president of the United States.
Right.
That's treason. You know, the deep state has been the former FBI director was the leak.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stunning.
Yeah.
The sitting. I mean,
That's what happened to Nixon. That's what drove him crazy. Nixon wasn't paranoid until he couldn't keep a conversation quiet.
Exactly.
But after
And then
Nixon,
he kept trying to find it and then broke the law because it drove him insane.
I sometimes get very paranoid that we are in an irrevocable state, because even though after Nixon came Reagan, came Clinton, you had these reformers who brought back people's respect and trust in the government somewhat, and then, you know, obviously Clinton and Reagan both in their presidency did things that eroded that. But during their campaign and their election, they brought people back.
It's still politics.
Of course.
And governing is still compromise, and that'll kill you every time.
But I do worry that we're at a point now where there is some irrevocability, because it's just impossible in the internet age. Once something happens, politics sort of, here's the best way that I think most people can relate to it. You're 16 and you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you two go all the way. When you're 16 or 17, you're never
What are you
going.
referring to?
You're never going back to hand jobs, you know. And I feel like Donald Trump is going all the way in the attack politics world, and that we're never going to be able to rein in the fringe elements of every political movement. Because say what you want, it doesn't matter that this guy was a Bernie supporter. He is somebody who is obviously psychologically disturbed. If you want to kill people, there's something wrong with you. And every movement
For just difference of opinion. That's the thing.
Exactly
it's not
right.
because of any other reason that they hold an opposing view to you.
That's where he's different in a lot of these mass shooters.
That's the breakthrough
is that
point.
he's now taking his psychosis into politics, and that has not been done.
No.
You know, where
Not
the
in a
guy
very
who
long time.
the guy who shot Gabby Giffords was just literally crazy.
Yeah. This guy wasn't. This was a
guy had
functioning
an-
member of society that dissolved his inspection company legally. He went to the government,
Well,
filed
He had
the
an
fee.
agenda.
And here's the thing, though, is where does that stop? Because there are a lot of people, especially my age, who think that that was patriotism and that was okay.
Absolutely,
Right.
they do. He did. He thought he
even
was Paul
thought.
Revere.
And exactly, so that's like, where does it stop? Like, you see, like, the American government, like, World War II, they were killing people, but they were killing Nazis. They're killing
The bad guys.
The bad guys.
Right.
So these people are convinced that Republicans and the right and anybody who don't agree with them are the bad guys.
Yeah.
So I think,
Well, they've been taught that their whole life, though.
so it's like, where does it, is that just going to be the new norm?
Usually, like, humans, typically there's a point, like, there's always some event that, like, resets you back to reality. Like, holy crap.
9/11.
Like 9/11, or there's a uniting event. And I think this will be, like, a political rhetoric uniting event.
I feel like that watching all of these congressmen and everyone yesterday, it seemed to shake them to their core.
It did.
I
And
can
there-
imagine.
it should.
Yeah, and
That's
there
terrifying.
was just
A guy got shot in the hip and has had 3 surgeries and is in critical condition
front
because
of-
he believes tax cuts are better than free
Like,
college.
he literally walked up and said, "Are you all Republicans?"
Mhm.
And he said, "Yes." And he started
Boom.
opening fire. Like,
Right.
I mean, that's like Columbine. Like, they walked in, they said, "Are you Christians?" "Yes." "All right, you're dead." Like, that's the same thing. Just
right.
politics.
It's the
like-
Crusades.
Yeah,
You know,
it's terrible.
But I'm
Barbarism.
worried. I'm worried that we can never, in the internet age, rein in the extremes of every movement.
We will have to have it. Like, you know, the internet's become so prevalent because, one, it's so easy to identify with people. A lot of people are lonely, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, a lot of people are looking for social acceptance. And
Right.
for most people, the digital is the community. So it's where they go to say what a bad day they're having, and then their friends surround them and give them things of support.
Hey, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, it is like, social capital declined, like, and that's why there's no
Right.
civic engagement in bowling leagues and Shriners and Elks Club. Like,
Which
people
is
don't
sad.
do these things, but online they do. The only difference is when you're forced to join an organization. It's the same thing in news. The mass customization is what allows you to be radicalized, because when you join the Republican Party, there's so many different blends of republicanism. You moderate by being exposed to it, but you
Right.
want the group identity. Same thing with the Democrats. Like, the Democrats have Jim Webb, who is probably to the right of Donald Trump.
Right.
And then they would have someone like a Maxine Waters, who is a former violent a revolutionary Marxist.
Right.
And being in a big group like that forces conformity and moderation on you in a way that digital experience doesn't, because you can micro target and just find people and discover people easier who reaffirm the most radical parts of your views, and you're never forced to force toleration, if you will.
We have it in the libertarian movement. I mean, and I wouldn't say anarcho-capitalist, but definitely there is a vein of the black and yellows
revolutionary libertarians,
right? That feel that this was an acceptable act. That,
right. It's justified because they're they're gangsters,
and they're killing people every
Killing
day
someone
with
is
cutting
never
off
okay.
health care.
and that is true though for Congress too, because Congress goes and authorizes drone strikes and authorizes funding for these things because it's easy to think that isn't a kid that died. It's the people that, if that kid had grown up, it's an abstraction. They're not thinking about putting a human face on it,
right?
Which is with a killer. I mean, that's what the internet does. It puts a layer between human interaction that makes harshness easier.
So it was Flag Day yesterday when this took place, and
I didn't even know that. Was it really?
It was Flag Day.
That's usually a huge libertarian day.
My boss asked us on a conference call what we were doing for Flag Day. And I was like,
have you watched the news?
Burning one. Hey, why not?
Yeah.
It's a piece of cloth, but. So I was convinced that this had to be one of ours.
You were. Jeremiah was too, and I thought,
I was like,
not so fast, my friend.
This is but it didn't really add up that this was a right wing wacko in that
attacking the moderates,
Republicans.
No.
You rhinos have driven me over the edge.
Right, but to somebody who is an anarchist, they don't care. They're violating. They're using violence to. I mean, but. Let's say it had been somebody who affiliated with the libertarian movement in some way, shape, or form.
Like Tim McVeigh.
Like Timothy McVeigh, who was
a party member.
Party member. When you become a party member of the Libertarian Party, you sign a pledge. It's called the non-aggression principle, which says that you do not advocate the use of violence to achieve political or social goals. So that the ends don't justify the means, or the means don't justify the ends, or whichever that, you know what I mean? That you just can't do whatever. It's libertarians, true libertarians believe that using violence is wrong, and we are non-violent,
Democratic
people.
Majority, it doesn't give you that. There is no moral right gained because the majority want it.
Exactly, and so violent figure like a Malcolm X to our Martin Luther King, who was nonviolent. And so somebody who would take a gun just because they may have been at libertarian movement meetings of some shape or form or variety, they would not be a libertarian. They can say they're a libertarian or that they're a righty, but they're not. Because
it's bad. It's bad brand association, but that wasn't the cause of it.
Right. You
one bad skittle.
The non-aggression principle was started in the early 70s because
Weather Underground.
They were being targeted by the FBI and being investigated as a party, and so they instituted the non-aggression principle pledge, the Libertarian Pledge,
to satisfy J. Edgar Hoover and further investigation and infiltration.
So, but it is something that is at the very core of the libertarian philosophy, and I just want to say that had this been somebody that was a libertarian member, I want everybody to understand that anybody that advocates for violence in any way, shape, or form, I don't care if it's followed up with, well, have they not committed violence upon us by aggressing against us because they are the state? No, you don't use violence as a tool for political or social goals. That makes you unlibertarian. You don't take up arms to achieve political or social goals. So,
the oppression can't be third-party outsourced like it is in government. It has to be direct one-to-one.
Exactly right. And this government is so massive and sprawling that killing a congressman who's third in line in the House doesn't do anything. It's a persuasion deal, guys. You got to go out and win hearts.
It's counterproductive. I mean, it reinforces. It's like when a police officer dies, the parade comes out. Blue Lives Matter. Everyone loves the police all of a sudden.
Right.
Yep.
It's totally counterproductive. But the response to this, I can't help but think how different it had been, and the crackdown that we would have seen on right groups.
Yeah.
And how much blame. Nobody blames Bernie Sanders at all whatsoever.
No, and he doesn't deserve
shouldn't
any.
be.
I saw Donald Trump getting blamed yesterday. I mean, it's
he's
just
the one
insane.
inciting the rhetoric.
Of course.
That's and like several prominent liberal commentators for MSNBC and then Vox and Mother Jones and Daily Kos were saying, isn't it I can't help but appreciate the irony of people who oppose gun control being taken out with guns. And this is within the hour.
Well, and
let's all sit back and blow that to smithereens, and then we'll get to Kat. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's okay.
Like to raise the gun control issue, we'll get to guns in just a second. Let's go to Kat. I mean, because I don't think it's bizarre to blame other people for the actions of one individual.
Yep.
Well, and that point right there is so hypocritical because isn't the left the ones who are really pushing the not all Muslims are terrorists thing?
Mm-hmm.
And just because somebody claims ISIS doesn't mean they're Muslim, so we shouldn't view Muslims that way. So why are they viewing us
All the same.
in all
Because
the
it's
same?
politically convenient and they can fundraise
Exactly.
on it.
So
Right.
I just think that's extremely hypocritical.
Oh, it always is.
Somebody made the comment, was talking about, well, guns need to be taken away, blah, blah, blah. But my thing is, I mean, if you look at,
Thank God, because the criminals
Look
won't
at-
have them in.
well, look at
It's like
Europe.
meth.
They've literally killed people by driving through crowds with
Knives.
guns, knives, blowing things up. They haven't been using guns in Europe, and they're still killing lots of people.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
If someone wants to kill you and
They're
they
going to do
are-
it.
Right. Exactly. There is nothing you can do to stop someone from killing you if they really want to.
Unless
Yep.
you can kill, unless you have better force than they do.
And you know, we are outsourcing the protection of these congressmen to Capitol Police officers. So what you're doing, instead of saying, let's encourage you to protect yourself with your own firearm, from martinarmory.com, you are outsourcing to a Capitol Police officer who then has to sacrifice their life for yours.
And luckily, they didn't have to.
And then,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, we as taxpayers have to pay for all that. Like the irony, it's not even irony. It's just flat out stupidity to sit there and look at this situation and go, guns caused this. No, guns stopped this. Because Rand Paul was right. Had there not been two Capitol Police officers there with weapons, combating somebody with weapons, then
It would have been like the Iranian parliament where a
Yeah.
suicide bomber went in and
It
killed
would've-
12.
Yeah, it
The
would have
thing
been a
is,
massacre.
even with that though, like if you're playing baseball, what are the chances you're going to have your gun strapped on
Sure.
you? There's not that. So I think it doesn't matter. Like if the police hadn't been there, it would have been a lot worse than.
Well, and I think it's
Anything.
interesting, though, is, like I said, I feel like I know the response to all of these discussions just from things I've seen from people my own age. But their thing is, yes, guns saved the situation and made it stopped it from being way worse, but guns caused it in the first place.
But I'm sorry
And that's
that
what people say.
we can no longer tolerate the stupidity of the young and the stupidity of the left. The fact is that guns are never going to not be around. You cannot in a country with as
They're
many
banned in Chicago, Illinois, and that place is a war zone.
and
Yeah.
this and
An
this
actual war zone.
Yeah.
this guy, it is illegal to, when we had the Libertarian Convention in Missouri in St. Louis, we had to tell all of the members of the Libertarian Party of Indiana, do not drive across state lines with your guns. You will go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy bought 2 weapons in Illinois. He
Really?
is,
Yeah.
he
It's
is
hard, very hard.
the
to
poster
do.
child for why gun control doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
just, it's maddening.
If it did, then we wouldn't have, any of the problems we do. If banning things worked, we wouldn't have
Like
mass drug
prohibition.
use. We
Well,
wouldn't have
on
we
it-
wouldn't have the Kennedys because that's how they got rich. Prohibition.
It's just such a kindergarten logic to say that if we just get rid of guns, it's not. That's not how policy works.
No, it's an
I-
easy thing to
And
take.
it's not guns. Like I think it's the violence that's been accepted in culture. Like you look at all of the, you look at the movies that are like there's so much violence everywhere. Like it permeates everything. The news is full of violence. Movies are full of violence.
it bleeds,
your
it
game
leads.
shows are full. Like everything is full of violence. Like you're literally just surrounded. Facebook is full of violence. Like
Again, it's-
Facebook, somebody killed somebody on live on Facebook
Yeah.
Live. Like violence is everywhere, and it's so like saturated into our culture. It's almost normal. Like it's normal to wake up and hear a news story about 5 people being killed somewhere in the world
Well-
because of violence. Like it's just normal, and it's just becoming more and more the norm.
And-
it's not okay.
Yeah, and from some of my news classes at Ball State is we're taught the structure of reporting news, and it's you report the worst thing first.
Yeah,
and maybe because it's breaking or what it needs
Well,
to be
we're
said
so
first, but
desensitized
it's.
to shock value. It's
brings people
it's
in.
competition or like a race to the top.
I mean, you turn on. There's a reason. Yeah, like Small Town USA, the front news story is kitten rescued from a tree, whereas you know what I mean. But it's
Yeah.
like you.
It's terrible.
horrible stuff.
Well, nobody cares about. Everyone loves to talk about, wasn't that sweet? But then when somebody sees a massive wreck on 465, they're all looking.
Exactly.
There's an instinct to rubberneck and look at shocking things.
It's the human condition. We're fascinated by,
and it's
train
out of
wrecks.
care. It's unnormal. It's not normal.
Right.
That's the real thing. Is that we're always going to look at what is not usual.
It's
But
a
it's becoming normal.
Well, but
you just have to keep upping the ante.
I think that it's become, the images are becoming more normal, but the truth is that if you go back and you really study history, we live at a time where we are shielded from death more than any other period in
Our
history.
wars have theme music.
We are not like we would have 100 years ago holding funerals in our front room where our ancestors, our grandparents would be laying there for days. We're not carrying the dead bodies of our parents out to a cart.
We won't even show them on the news if they come back from Iraq.
Exactly right.
You know?
So we are shielded from death and violence more than we ever are, and I would advocate for more real violence as opposed to fake violence. And I think that human beings are, in trading that off, we are really losing humanity and empathy and understanding the consequences of our decisions by not choosing to see the real cost of war. You watch something... That's why I think you have something like Vice on HBO that takes off, is because they're willing to go and show you what is actually happening in the world and not shield you from the truth.
Right. And I mean, that's completely true. And if you think about it, I mean, I guess it's... I'm every bit as guilty of it because, like, I don't look at things that aren't wild and outrageous, and it's continual pushing of the envelope to get me to even care.
Right.
You know, and like that's just. But I mean, I don't think that that's some I'm to blame for it. I don't think you're to blame for it. I think it's part of the human experience.
Yep.
But if you've ever seen the movie Goodwill, you ever seen Goodwill Hunting?
I haven't.
Have you heard of Robin Williams' cat? I know he's.
Robin Williams. It's such a
Yes.
good movie.
It is.
You do know
I
who
feel like
Robin
I've seen that
Williams
movie.
And there's.
Of course I do. Okay.
You've seen it?
It's a good
I think
movie.
I have.
You think so? Okay, yeah. It's like Ben
me
Affleck
cry.
and Matt Damon, like they wrote it, and it's what made them stars.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
So in it, he plays a psychologist, and
Oh,
the
yes,
court
that.
an MIT professor wants him to work with Matt Damon. He's a mathematics savant, but he needs therapy to kind of get over some issues, and so he's also a genius. So he is talking to the psychologist and trying to show that he's not smarter than him, and he can even get in his head. And he, Robin Williams says that I thought about what you said to me, and I thought it made me lose sleep all night. And then I realized that you're the kind of person that could tell me every fact about what the Sistine Chapel, the history around it, every date and everything, but you can't tell me what it meant. You can't tell me how it smells, how it feels. And that's sort of like where we are as a society, is we don't experience things, but we can tell you all about them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It never hits you or it never hits home because
Until
there's
it
no
happens
impact.
to you.
Yeah, the human impact doesn't exist, but it's an abstraction. You can, like Tucker Carlson all night last night was talking about, describe to me what it was like. Mm-hmm. And the thing was, it was almost so shocking to him, he couldn't even conceive of what that type of environment was like.
Yeah.
When the reality is, that's every street on the east side of Indianapolis after 11 p.m.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's a reality.
We have an entire generation of Black Americans who are growing up like that.
Exactly. And that's East Chicago is a war zone. US 41 heading to Chicago, where they actually have like riot gear out in Joliet, Illinois.
And then we wonder why Ferguson happens.
Right, but people don't go there.
Right.
The people won't go. Like we talk about Gary like we know it.
Right.
None of us have ever been on Gary at 11 o'clock on a Friday night.
Never.
God, no.
Yeah,
No way.
and I think that's why I listened to coverage all day yesterday of this, and so many of the congressmen were open about what they saw and what they were talking about it and describing it and all that. But it wasn't until I was listening to POTUS Politics, which if you don't have SiriusXM, it's worth the internet subscription just for POTUS Politics. If you love the show, you'll love that channel. And they played the entire Joe Barton talking about his sons and
the human elements of it.
And I'm getting goosebumps now because of it, because that was the moment when that rush of empathy, that warm feeling in the middle of me went, oh, these are people.
Boom.
And I had listened to the facts all day long, but it hadn't hit me that here's a young boy that is traumatized by seeing his friends get shot. Why do I not consider these? We consider Rand Paul a person.
Yep.
We love Rand Paul as libertarians, but
It doesn't realize that he was sitting there swinging a bat with an aide, and there was a real life gun shoot, like OK Corral shootout.
Right.
It doesn't impact you no matter what you say because
Right.
you can't feel it. But I can tell you that at 7:19, Alexandria police responded to a call.
Right.
That I have no idea what it feels like to be scared
Of
by
course.
this.
Right.
And that's what we just don't experience things in person anymore.
I read the eyewitness or the account of a guy who got shot and lived at the Pulse nightclub shooting, and it was one of the worst things I've ever read because just the way he described it, like how he heard the 2 hours that he was there, like he got shot in the back and shielded himself under a couch and asked the police for help, and they couldn't help him because they couldn't come in yet, and he heard all the dead people's cell phones ringing, and it was just like
All of it really hit him.
you can't
Yep.
you don't know what that
We have
feels like.
we have no concept of it, and like that's the thing too is like people that are very anti-Muslim. Like 2 years ago, there was a Yemeni wedding, and we authorized a drone strike while they were getting married. And so you think
terrible.
Pulse nightclub, they go in with like
Right.
a pledged ISIS member goes and shoots a bunch of homosexuals. Horrible. Imagine being there at your wedding last March. We're sitting there at Scottish Rite, and in comes a drone strike, and we're all dead. Like
Exactly.
you can't conceive it.
Yeah,
And
there's
nobody
a movie that has
cares.
that. What movie is it? There's one of the action movies has that. Might be like London Has Fallen or something.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Well-
it White House Down?
Maybe White House Down.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
There was
Where that's
something-
like the
You just can't conceive of that
storyline.
thing in
Yeah.
our world.
There
because
was
we're so
a-
cocooned from it.
There was a video that I posted in the We Are Libertarians group, but I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. And I didn't realize. I mean, YouTube is like Wikipedia. You go down one of these rabbit holes
Oh
and
my
you get
God.
stuck forever.
Next thing you know, you're listening to Alex Jones and Googling Doppler technology.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Megyn Kelly asked if you want to come on our show.
So so I found actual rebels doing the rebel yell, people who are on videotape, who had fought in the Civil War, which led me to an eyewitness on a 50s TV show talking about the Lincoln assassination,
at
how
Fort
he was a
Theater.
boy, which led me to a wonderful voice recording of Joseph Hazelton, who was an errand boy at Ford's Theater who knew John Wilkes Booth. And the video is titled Eyewitness to Lincoln's Assassination Tells of Booth's Escape. And it is this amazing recording of this guy telling the story of what the scene was like in Ford's Theater as Lincoln was assassinated. I've read that story 100 times in my lifetime. We've heard it in history class.
Seen the memorial.
Yep, it
Been to
wasn't.
Ford's Theater.
It wasn't until this man told the eyewitness account of what it was like in that theater that I felt what the trauma of Lincoln's assassination was for the nation. I mean, it was a really powerful and gripping piece of audio that you should go and check out on YouTube.
Oh, I mean, it's incredible because the Lincoln Trail, or the train trail that they brought his body across, and he stayed the night at the State House here in Indianapolis, and it goes right through Irvington, kind of north
Right.
of US 40, and they, just account after account, they're going through rural parts of the country, and people are just out on their knees, like sobbing. And can you imagine if President Trump got shot?
People would be
There'd be Facebook statuses celebrating.
no, there would be live
Actually
people
riots
celebrating.
in this
It,
street.
Yeah.
it would be 9/11 in Palestine.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It'd be cheers of vindication and God is great, but that's the difference. It's just because we've become so not removed, just we've become desensitized for sure. But then
Very
also
desensitized.
we don't experience anything ever because even when we're at even when you go on vacation or even when you are going and doing something, right? You can't wait to take a selfie because you document the whole thing, but you never paid attention.
The
Yeah.
best
Right.
vacation I ever took was when we went on a Caribbean cruise and did not buy the internet package. It was the best week of my life, and I almost did not turn my phone back on.
Right, and you don't even care that you don't have pictures.
I mean,
or you have
We
pictures.
have
You didn't
some
care that you didn't have
pictures.
likes.
Oh, yeah, I didn't care I didn't have likes. I didn't care that my friends had no idea what I was doing, or my mom didn't know. Like, I just didn't care. It was great. It was freeing. You
Right.
just feel so,
In the moment.
in the moment. I felt very zen.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, and then that's not not having to. You can't check the phone. You can't check the likes.
yeah,
Like
you
we need to
actually
do
can't.
another selfie in front of this, this
Yeah.
cliff because the last one, the lighting was shit, and I don't want it as my cover photo.
Well, that may have happened.
all right.
But we could
Well, you're
still use
still
our
petty.
cameras.
yeah,
just
no, you
not our
could. It's, no, but I mean,
phone.
you couldn't while
Yeah,
you're standing there
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
go see
yeah.
the whales. Oh, we've only got 13 likes. What the fuck?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I actually never do that, but
You delete
Not that cool.
photos that don't get enough likes, Kat.
No,
repost at better times.
no.
Is that a fidget spinner?
No.
The fidget putty.
Fidget putty.
It's a fidget putty, basically. Yep. The two of us are so ADD we can't. We have to play with our hands.
Otherwise, I won't remember anything we talked about today.
Yeah, because she will be nervous.
They actually say though, as long a lot of people are that way. If it's indirect, what you're listening to or processing information, because you're busy doing that, you retain more.
Yep, that's how I am.
Well, and it's just tangent, but it just annoys me how everyone is like, I'm so ADD, look at my fidget spinner. Like, you don't have ADHD, you just want to have the new cool toy, and it actually makes you even worse.
It's the nerd glasses for girls with no lenses.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm such a dork.
That's why I like
and then
Spangle.
take a picture with a book.
Right. And Spangle at the day job, he's got a fidget cube, and I love that thing because it's just in your hand and you're just
It's like worry
listening.
balls that have been around for centuries. Like,
Right.
like Buddhist worry balls that they, it helps them get calm and like get still.
I kind of want to be a Buddhist.
So it looks like I'm having like a play
How
date over
brave.
here, but
So go read Siddhartha.
And this is a tangent, or not tangent, but and it's not scientific at all. But I kind of feel like the prevalence of autism is a result of the flood of information, because autistic kids cannot. It's just too much. It's overwhelming, and I feel like they intensely process information in a way that is almost a step forward in human evolution.
Our people.
Well, I mean, it's like, what are we flooded with? Information. That's what overwhelms us, causes us anxiety. We have to learn how to manage and adjust to. For them, the sheer amount of information they're processing is way more than a regular individual. And I think that could be very likely be a biological response to the amount of the flood of information. Because like our eyes take in 2 billion of the 20 billion bits of information every second it takes in.
Yeah.
And they take in more and are more sensitive to the severity of it. They're not able to tune it out.
Yeah. All right.
Like a podcast about libertarianism.
Never ends.
right.
All right. So earlier this week, we had James Comey testify in front of the House Senate Intelligence Committee, the Senate Intelligence
Senate
Committee,
Intelligence.
not the House
Which
Senate.
is an oxymoron if I've ever heard one.
Right. And we reviewed the written statement, and a lot of our opinion of Comey and the entire situation you heard last week. So we won't bore you with the same details that we posted in that last episode. My impressions of Jim Comey are that I believed a lot of what he said. I believed that he gave a lot of information that seemed very credible. He seems like a very credible man. He's pissing off all sides of all parties. But I did not get the sense from his testimony that he did anything that was rising to the level of obstruction of justice.
No. I mean, that's the way I feel as well.
Inappropriate, yes, but illegal, no.
And I'm sure you have a much stricter standard of it than I do.
Of course, especially with Donald Trump.
Right. And that's the thing is I feel like that's a pretty good gauge, because you are no fan whatsoever, and you're more libertarian. You take a more libertarian approach toward it. So if you don't feel like it, I think it's a real hard case to make.
I'm a proponent when it comes to these sorts of issues of the truth and what I feel the truth is. And I don't feel like Donald Trump. I think there's a reason that Jim Comey walked away with the impression that he wanted that all of this to end.
He did.
Of course he does. But he could have just ordered him to end it. There were a lot of testimonies that really the Republicans, I felt, did a good job of kind of fighting back the notion of obstruction of justice, like Marco Rubio, like Tom Cotton.
James Tisch, when he was saying, has anyone ever been prosecuted and indicted or impeached based on hope?
Rich.
Rich.
Yeah.
T-I-S-C-H.
I thought it was R-I-C-S-C-H.
Or yeah. From Idaho.
Yeah.
Senator Rich. And so he eliminated it completely. And with getting Comey to eliminate it, the news didn't cover that line of questioning.
Yeah.
And here's an Idaho senator of no importance, and he eviscerates the entire argument.
Right.
Hope and change doesn't result in an obstruction charge. Exactly.
But I do think that there is definitely Donald Trump definitely wants this to disappear, and I definitely got the impression from the written testimony, as I talked about last week, that he wanted the main thrust was that he wanted it released, that he was not being investigated. And that was more of the main. But I got the impression from the spoken testimony that he really wanted all of it to go away.
Well, you can't. It never ends.
Right.
This is a never-ending cloud of leaks and anonymous sources and close White House officials who aren't willing to go on the record.
Yeah.
Like today, the new thing is that they've hired a money laundering expert into General Flynn, and then a cybersecurity expert attorney to be able to validate that potentially anonymous transactions into accounts were General Flynn and the Russian government.
Interesting. I walked away much more convinced that there is a Russian plot, so to speak, but I don't think that it convinced me. First of all, the Russians can't hack the American election.
No.
Okay, they can't do it. They cannot break into voting machines, and they cannot change votes.
That's what you think. That's what they want.
They
you to think.
got in, but they changed. They can only change like the first 4 characters of the address in the voter rolls in the United States.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was the if you lived on Main Street, they could change it to JTE in Street.
But I also I mean, if you watch the Megyn Kelly Vladimir Putin, far be it from me to take Vladimir Putin's side. This was one of the first programs to say this guy's going to be an awful problem for us down the road. I think it was around episode 87. The Russians are trying to interfere in our elections.
Just like we do in theirs.
Just like we do in theirs. And Putin put the point is that who are you people to sit here and tell the rest of the world that we are not to interfere in your elections when all you do is try and topple ours and control our elections. And I found Putin's interview with Megyn Kelly, he made many, many good points that a lot of non-interventionists would agree with, in that you're looking at our splinter while not looking at your plank in your eye.
You don't realize that this is all in retaliation as a the best offense or the best defense is a good offense, and so that's what they do is they try to intervene, we try to intervene. We know that, like Nelson Rockefeller, the whole reason that 4-H exists was to train young, poor, rural people in South America to not fall for Marxism with Che and Fidel Castro. They gave them land grants, they propped up conservative dictators, parceled land out, gave it to them, brought them here, trained them at like Texas A&M, New Mexico State, then sent them back so that they could operate and run their own property and not fall the lure to the man's keeping us down.
Right.
We did in Paraguay, Venezuela. The whole reason is because his oil fields were nationalized in Venezuela, and that's where he came up with the idea.
So wait, real quick question. Why does the U.S. get involved in Russian elections? Just because we can? Or they're trying to...
One, it's our intelligence agencies. One, so like the CIA hacker base that came out in the 2 WikiLeaks ago, we trained them to use the exact digital footprint Russian hackers use. So our CIA intrusions it's indistinguishable between a Russian hack and a CIA hack.
Okay.
But the reason we do is because Vladimir Putin is rising in power, and this is a time when nationalism is rising as a whole. Mm-hmm. Usually, everyone thought like the extreme reactionary neo-Nazi, white pride was dead.
Right.
It wasn't dead. Mm-hmm. Because eventually multiculturalism had a blowback. People were tired of being told that the white man's to blame. Mm-hmm. They were tired of being told that diversity is the be-all, end-all. Mm-hmm. And so in a society, there was this organic response that's happening now, and he is the perfect one to lead it because Russians are the most nationalistic people on earth.
Right.
Mother Russia can do no wrong. And he's a real threat because oil was so high. Mm-hmm. Also, there's only one way to heat your home in Europe. There's only one supplier. It's the pipeline that runs through Turkey that is the Russian. He can shut off the heat in Europe in the winter anytime he wants. And we also put nuclear weapons in Poland throughout Eastern Europe and pointed them directly at the Russians and wondered why they wanted to put them in Cuba.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, we have nuclear weapons pointed at them that can hit them at any second. And so he can either succumb to it, and that's what had happened. Like Russia had fallen. The Soviet Union fell apart.
Right.
They tried a social experiment that didn't work. Brilliant guy, so he's an economist by training. He put together his dissertation about how to create these state champions of statehood. And so what it was key industries. When Russia was leaving socialism, he put up all like the oil industry, the finance, banking, all these things up for bid to the private sector,
right?
But handpicked who got to bid on them, picked all his friends.
Right.
That way he made them all rich. He was in charge. because oil was so high, he was able to raise the value of the Russian currency to the point where he implemented a basic income. So it's not like here where you go to the welfare office. Mm-hmm. It's what you make, or if you don't make anything, and you get a check. Mm-hmm. Universal basic income. I mean, it's only a 13% income tax flat, and the standard of living is through the roof. Like, he's been a hero to Russia. That's why he keeps winning. The only people that are anti that are like, there's like a youth resistance movement because they weren't born when he won in 1999 with George W. Bush.
And how bad it was.
Right. And they've got rampant drug problems, and so he's cracked down on cultural things, to keep Mother Russia strong. And so the gay community, the countercultural movement has resisted everything he's done because it looks like old-fashioned backwoods ideas.
He goes
but it's
and
about
lays,
cultural preservation.
Yeah, he goes and lays a wreath at Stalin's grave every year on his birthday. I mean,
even though he killed.
And Russians love dictators. They don't care so much for democracy.
Yeah.
Like, they have fistfights on the floor of their Senate, the Duma.
The real reason
kind of awesome.
The real reason
they hit each other if you call them like a liar. They literally slug it out.
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome.
The real reason that Donald Trump scares so many Americans is that he is the first authoritarian type political figure to rise to the level that he's at, and that
Andrew Jackson, but that wasn't in our lifetime.
Sure,
right.
But where Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump are very similar in the way that they lead, and they will bullshit to maintain power. We are okay with as a society. It seems that, well, not we libertarians, but we as a society seem to accept a certain amount of lying and bullshit because we feel it's on our behalf. Enough corruption. We'll let you get away with some lying and corruption because we know you have our best interest.
And that would require me paying attention, and I kind of like how things are going.
Right. But Donald Trump, I feel, makes everybody freak out because Donald Trump is the first one where he's bullshitting for his own good and not the collective good. Even
his people's good.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much a racial thing.
Right.
This is about white European ideals of freedom and democracy. We know best. Your ideas of cultural Marxism, where eliminating genders, multiculturalism, being inclusive, not all the people that blow up buildings are bad. These were all ideas in Columbia University in the 1960s and 70s, and came over from Frankfurt University.
Right.
Like, they brought a bunch of intellectuals in, and this is where all the like Tom Sowell studied under these individuals in Harlem. And the idea was, we're going to eliminate genders, we're going to eliminate the social structure. They even proposed taking babies away from women so there isn't family loyalty, which is something they do in North Korea.
It's literally in The Giver, the book.
Right. And they try to undermine every societal institution to the point the state's all that's left.
Yeah.
And so it was Marxism was forced on people. They decided we're going to do it reverse. We're going to undermine and do it bottom up. Yeah. And so people got tired of it. They got tired of being told the white person's keeping you down, or you're to blame. You're the reason for your, if you white cis males weren't so stupid.
Even Thaddeus Russell, who is a libertarian historian, somebody that I like a lot, was on Rogan basically in a roundabout way saying that gender is just a false construct of society. I mean, I can buy his argument that race is a false construct of society.
There's only one race.
Because we're just human beings, and some of us just have more melanin than others. And the idea where it was like, biologically they have
there
boobs.
are actual differences.
It's chromosome. It is at the atomic level. It is
exactly
DNA
right.
structure. You can't identify away a Y chromosome.
Right.
There's no removing that with surgery.
No, they're just.
You can chop a dick off of me, but you can't take a Y chromosome out.
Yeah.
So Greg, I have a question for you. So I need a little more autism. So these
fully woke.
Fully woke. No, but so just for whatever. So the people I go to school with, who are like the ones throwing parties that the Congress people got shot at and all of this stuff, and they're
for charity though, so don't
for
judge
charity,
us.
right, and they're hardcore socialist. What is it, Marxists?
Yeah, they're usually you're a Marxist, but they'll consider themselves basically just a leftist and anti-fascist.
Okay, and
a Marxist, socialist, or a welfare liberal.
Okay,
a progressive.
And they see, and all they do is post about how much they hate, Republicans and Democrats, and they hate it so much, and how police officers and politicians are just as bad as Hitlers, and the
Right.
army is just like they go to the career
Immediate
fair.
extreme.
Right, and they go to the career fair at Ball State, and they hand out like right by the army, like the
Students
ROTC
for a Democratic
stuff.
Society.
Right, but right by the ROTC table, they hand out pamphlets saying like, "Do you want to become a killer?" Like,
Yeah.
join. Right. So why are they like if it doesn't work? If the people of the Soviet Union, right, got tired of it,
But it's that the right people haven't. It's so
Right.
like
So
it's
why
about
are they-
perfecting society? So like the idea is that there are these social planners who know best, elites.
okay,
And this goes like all the way back to Plato's Republic, and that we will breed this class of elites who are the governing class. They'll know best for you stupid people. They'll make the decisions. We'll get rid of poverty. We'll get rid of war. All these, it's with originally good intentions.
Right.
If you just give us the amount of control we need in order to do it, we'll get the right people there.
Right.
The problem is there aren't any mythical bureaucrats. I mean, have you ever met anyone you're like, God, I'd just willingly give over everything because they know best?
no,
It's a false idea. What ends up happening
I mean, yes,
outside
just
the realm
one.
of libertarianism.
dear leader.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, so like that's the thing with Bernie. Bernie rails against corruption and wants justice. He wants a fair playing field for everybody. All good, well-intended things. The point is, the government's the institution that allows for the corruption. That's
Yeah.
the actual structure that allows for things to become corrupt, because people, when given the opportunity to exploit something for personal gain, are going to, regardless of how pure they are. Not
Yeah.
everybody's Jesus Christ. You know, they have a career. They need to provide for a family, so they're going to take beyond the take. So these people have the right intentions. They just can't, trying to solve. They're trying to solve the problems government creates with more government.
Tom,
It's like trying to fix cancer with more cancer.
And
Tom-
do you think?
Tom Woods had on, there's a guy, a podcaster that I really love this podcast. It's called The Eastern Border. And the podcast on Tom Woods was called A Gallop Through Soviet History. And they were breaking down some of the arguments. And inevitably, you get into an argument with one of these people, it's, well, communism in the Soviet Union wasn't actual communism. It was imperfect. It was corrupted.
But if it had been Bernie, it would have been,
if
or
we
if
could-
Trotsky had been the one that won.
Exactly right. There's always a caveat, and it always is going to come down with these people to, really, if I were in charge, like it's a very selfish thing.
Oh, it's complete central planning. I know best for everybody, and that's it's funny. Like all of Western civilization comes down to that. I mean, the battle of Plato and Aristotle. Plato's best student. Aristotle said, "You're right. In your republic, if centralized control in the theoretical realm, that could be the perfect society." Mm-hmm. That's why Aristotle said, "The A is A. I can only experience what my life is." And that's why you have to decentralize everything and give power to the people rather than some elite governing. Not that you'll have a better outcome, but that because it's the safer bet against tyranny.
Right.
And that's been the argument of all of Western civilization since.
Mm-hmm. So do you think these people, because like I said, it's just in an alarming rate, they're joining this movement, do you think they'll change? In 10, 15 years,
they'll moderate.
go on their
And
Facebook.
like I have, they'll definitely, as they have to actually earn money and they can't just go around, like, because Bernie Sanders really is like, this guy was like a gypsy drifter, got a job in government, got elected mayor.
At 40, he was a nobody.
He was a loser.
He was a total loser till
Basement
40.
dwelling mouth breather.
I
Right.
kind of love Bernie Sanders, not gonna lie.
I mean, no, his appeal is right. All of
Yeah.
his intentions are good. The problem is he's trying to fix cancer with more cancer.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But then, and also, we live in a democracy. There's transition, regime change. If it were constant and he were the one white knight willing to watch over everything, maybe, you know what, maybe he would do it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he has to rely on such a big bureaucracy with people he doesn't know who don't have a vested interest in him staying in office that they're going to go after and take care of me.
But I still kind of love him.
Even somebody
Yeah,
like...
his intentions are pure. He's an
Even-
honest
I
Democrat.
love that about him. He's great.
So you have Lenin. Lenin takes over, and then you have a war between Trotsky and Stalin. And Stalin was not as charismatic of a speaker. He was in charge of the secret police. You had Trotsky, who was in charge of the Red Army. He was the philosophical backbone. He was this charismatic speaker.
I mean, people to this day still say that they're Trotskyists,
Right.
or Trotskyism rather than Marxism, because he expounded upon it.
Right. So, but then the problem is you've got crafty people like Stalin who make themselves the Secretary General of the party, and they start he runs the machinery of the party.
He's the operator.
He starts putting people into the party, into the controlling of the Soviet Union that are loyal to him. He gives them the jobs. He's the bureaucratic guy that makes sure that everybody goes in certain places, and Trotsky is so busy being esoteric and being the thought
Ivory
leader
Tower
that he doesn't realize that he's not getting invited to meetings, that his people aren't getting invited to meetings until finally Lenin dies and he is not told about when and where services are, and he's not there, and then all of a sudden Stalin is anointed the leader of the Soviet Union. And
then he hires sends the KGB to Mexico City and puts a axe in Trotsky's head.
Right. I mean, and so a lot of what your college-age friends believe are just fairy tales. They're things that are not based in the real human existence. They're not based in how the human animal works.
Idealism can only be moderated with experience.
Exactly right. And so it's just going to take time. I'm not worried about these kids. They'll figure it out.
But like when they say things like healthcare is a right, they're saying that because of that, they would walk to a doctor's home, put a gun to his head, and say, "Go fix them for free."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the implication, and so that's ridiculous because then they're going to be like, "Well, no, but I don't. I'm pacifist.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Kumbaya, let's hand out flowers."
Right, but you want somebody else with a gun to do it for you.
And it's easier when it's not you.
Yeah.
It's less feels that way. So let's circle back to the Comey testimony. So Comey testified. What were your impressions, Greg?
Oh, I think he's Alan Dulles.
Okay.
I think it was perfectly scripted in order to create the exact sound bites the media needed to continue selling. I very much think that the deep state it's Nixon all over again.
Alan Dulles was the former head of the CIA, fired by JFK, and then all of a sudden JFK dies.
Yeah, and the Dulles brothers used, I don't think they're going to kill anybody, but I do think that they are going to continue these leaks, and it's coordination with the press, because the press respects the people in the intelligence community. They've spent years developing these trustworthy relationships with the sources. They're just going to keep anything they feed them.
Yep.
Even though you have a Senate testimony, which is basically just theatrics, saying specifically, did he obstruct, based upon your experience as an FBI director, can you think of a single case where someone was charged and convicted of obstruction of justice based on hope?
Yeah, I as somebody who is fair-minded and doesn't have a dog in the fight whatsoever, I watched the complete testimony, and I felt that it didn't rise. If the level is reasonable doubt, I felt there was some reasonable doubt that I just wouldn't convict Donald Trump of obstruction of justice.
I don't know
based
that
on
you
that
can
testimony
take.
Alone.
I really hope you can see your way to letting this go. I don't know what governing body gets to decide what that was meant,
right?
And put someone and impeach someone based upon that.
Well, it depends on what your definition of is. But
is a racist term, and I won't allow you to use it.
We all know that none of this has anything to do with the truth or justice. It has everything to do with politics.
Yeah, it's art. It's art and theater.
Speaking of theater, I watched a lot of the Jeff Sessions testimony. I never really had seen much out of Sessions, and he's a slow, good old boy. Kamala Harris was like, "Stop rushing me. You're rushing me. I don't like to be rushed. I get nervous."
People forget he was a Democrat.
Yeah.
He was one of the flipping Democrat that flipped with the Reagan Revolution.
Right. And
like Rick Perry.
Kamala Harris is being, it's just sexism that people are criticizing. No.
Everyone said, look at how they talked to her.
Right.
Is she the new face of the Democratic Party?
Meanwhile, she was incredibly disrespectful according to Senate rules, and that's why she was told to.
It's like Elizabeth Choctaw Warren, and
right.
all of the Democrats exempt themselves from the norms and procedures, and then there's outrage that they weren't treated right.
Jeff Sessions, his memory is worse than the potheads he's trying to crack down on. I mean, it's all very strategic, and he's just doing it to, I can't recall, so he can't get pinned on anything. I felt he was very slippery. But
you have the right to not incriminate yourself.
Of course. But I also enjoyed him yelling at Ron Wyden, and when he got mad, his cute little face just got all red, and he was like, "Stop it." But Ron Wyden's somebody that on civil liberties issues is great, but
Ron Wyden he is very he is good on civil liberties, but he very much has higher aspirations, and so because of that, he's starting to toe the line a little bit more.
Ron Wyden could never be president if he wanted to be.
No, but he wants to be like labor secretary or head of NSA or something like that in a Democratic administration.
Got it.
Basically be what Dan Coates is.
Yeah, the deep state would assassinate him before they'd ever let him be.
Correct.
Ron Wyden's great on NSA and deep state stuff. But, yeah, Jeff Sessions I felt was very slippery. I felt like he was just trying to clear his name, but it didn't seem to make sense why he was really there.
Oh, no, he sent Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, out before to answer all the questions on Russia.
Right.
And he's the one who appointed Robert Mueller, and he's running the special investigation. And Rosenstein is a Democrat. He has connections to the Clinton administration, but he's about as honest as you're going to find in D.C.
I will be amazed if they don't at least try to bring Sessions back to testify again and force him under the threat of not obstruction, but just contempt. Because he invented this long-standing policy of the Justice Department on the spot, basically saying, I'm not going to invoke...
Violate executive privilege?
Executive privilege. Well, the president's the one who declares executive privilege. You can't declare executive privilege on his behalf if you're the Attorney General.
Unless he had advised you of that, because that is established law by a
Absolutely.
Supreme Court ruling. So if he has said this is where I would... if President Trump said, this is where you need to be careful because these are the areas I may invoke executive privilege should I ever have to testify.
Yeah. So I will be surprised if he doesn't come back. Surprising news out of the last few days is that Robert Mueller is starting to... these special prosecutors always grow tentacles. If you remember, Kenneth Starr was appointed to investigate Whitewater and ended up prosecuting on Monica Lewinsky and perjury and possible obstruction. And now they're expanding the scope and now including the president to be investigated under obstruction of justice charges in addition to Michael Flynn, Carter Page, and others for ties to
Just
Russia.
after he cleared his name, all of a sudden the investigation extends to the White House.
Exactly right.
How convenient.
So I wonder what Comey said to Mueller privately that helped him come to this conclusion.
2 winks of double secret. Innuendo.
And Mike Pence has retained private counsel as these investigations start to expand. But we're all going to be constitutional lawyers coming very soon. Every Facebook friend of yours is going to know constitutional law in and out.
The Russian puppet.
Right. So look forward to that.
I loved it. Vladimir Putin came out today and offered full the same thing he offered Snowden. To James Comey.
Ha!
That's funny.
And I thought that was the best troll I've ever seen. He offered, full safe passage.
Showtime has a special interview.
Oliver Stone, the Putin tapes.
Yeah, Oliver Stone is sitting down doing these long-form interviews of Putin. I'll be interested to see that.
They're wonderful. The first one is outstanding.
Is it?
I mean, he is playing chess. I've always said it. He plays chess and everybody else plays checkers.
He's playing 8D intergalactic chess while everybody else is playing.
Someone called it now Trump's at 32D acrobatic backgammon. I thought this is the greatest description I've ever heard.
But Robert Mueller, let's talk about the teams that are being formed.
You want to talk? You want to talk about that?
I think we'll wrap up with this. Yeah, because the team that Robert Mueller is starting to put together is very impressive.
Are you leaving?
I think Hannah's just walking out of the podcast. She's
Hold on, we
done.
need to do our picture for the promotion.
I'll wait a few minutes.
We're
wrapping up.
like 5 minutes.
Basically, the gist of it is this guy's assembling a legislative team of seasoned experts. One has Dreamin has argued over 100 Supreme Court cases. One was a special aide on Watergate. I mean, these are the who's who, led by a former FBI director.
Jeannie Rhee, former senior advisor to Eric Holder, white-collar crime specialist.
A cybersecurity expert.
Aaron Zebley.
This is the A team of special prosecution attorneys. And Trump's loading up with one guy that's kind of a Wall Street attorney that's his hit lead. Then he's brought in someone from a Christian, an alternative to the Southern Law and Poverty Center, but like a white Christian version.
Yeah.
And then 4 major firms have all declined to participate.
Jay Sekulow is somebody that you've probably seen if you've ever ventured into the right media. The American Center for Law and Justice was always kind of the conservative Christian answer to the ACLU.
Yeah.
And he's considered by a lot of people to be a clown.
He's the Pat Buchanan version of Andrew Napolitano.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So we'll put all this in the show notes. We got a lot of really good show notes. We didn't even get to a lot, but we'll get to that in later episodes because we're tired.
We're all tired.
We're tired. We got to clean up.
I'm leaving.
So final thoughts for this episode.
I'm leaving.
Baby and Agnos.
Oh. Don't call me that. No, no, good episode. I felt like I contributed a lot.
You did really well.
Finally.
You did really well.
Thanks, something I know a lot about.
Yeah,
Well,
crying liberals.
crying liberals, right? No, I
That aren't even
prepared-
people.
That aren't even people. No, yeah, learned a lot. I thought it was a good discussion. I'm definitely going to, once it's posted, I'm going to send it to a lot of my liberal friends.
Nice. Your snowflake network.
Drop it there, just to troll a little bit.
I
No,
think you're all humans, though, and I care each about.
Yeah.
I
I
love you all.
I love you all the same. But yeah, shameless plug. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat at @catanagnos.
Are you getting a lot of creepers?
A lot of creepertarians. No, a lot of actually really nice people follow me and interact with my stuff, which is what I like. Like I said, I don't care about the likes. I like about the comments. I like the funny discussions.
Yeah.
I like people seeing that I have intelligent friends that I get to talk to instead of people just calling me ugly on the internet.
She wants to show off people.
Yeah, I just want to show off. No, but yeah, great discussion. I really like this episode. Probably my favorite so far.
Hannah?
Yeah, it was a good episode too. I think the thing that I've thought about the most is we've had these discussions about making differences and changing and how we're like the world is screwed up is the line from one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. It's true.
You've
Don't
been
laugh at me. It's true.
Wrong song.
So
Oh shit!
yeah,
Really?
You did
it's
smooth.
still
Criminal.
Michael Jackson, but. Anyways, but it's true though. Like, if you're gonna make the difference, like you have to change first.
Right.
So.
It's an individual change. It has to happen and
Yep.
scale out.
It's a
Yep.
foundational
Yeah.
principle of libertarianism and
Michael
individualism.
Jackson was a secret libertarian.
You've got to
He was from Gary. So.
Hey, I'll talk about toxic associations.
you've got to
Heart
act.
MJ.
You've got to act in good faith for others to act in good faith
Yep.
with you.
Yep. So
Gregory?
7:00 Sunday night. Alex Jones on Megyn Kelly on
Yes.
NBC. Prepared to get woke, America. This is the time. He's arriving on the grand stage. It's his cotillion. He's coming out to society, and I can't wait to see it.
I don't think that it will ever happen. I think he will get canceled.
He wants it canceled because he said that she was just going to do a profile of him, not of Sandy Hook and his extremist views.
Right.
And he thinks that the promo she's using was false, misleading.
I-
So he
Fake
even
news.
wants it pulled.
Glenn Beck basically nailed it the other day where he was just like, and they don't get along, where he was
who
basically,
gets along with Glenn Beck?
who gets along with Alex Jones.
Oh, that's true.
90 million weekly downloads.
But,
How you doing?
yeah.
Not great.
Basically, like, and I just don't understand when people go, we need to shut this guy down, we need to, like,
Nah.
why?
He's
Like,
very entertaining.
let him discredit himself. If anybody listens to him, you realize, like, this person is crazy. He's a crazy person. He's
Throwing
entertaining
that
as
term
hell.
around a lot.
He's not entertaining to the parents of Sandy Hook. Okay, get over it. Listen,
And no one's
I'm-
ever read his actual criticisms. His criticisms are fact-based. Like, why, for instance, does the FBI's report on Newton, Connecticut show no deaths in that year?
Right,
0.
Weird.
Filed government report.
right.
So, like, they don't go through and address the actual criticism. So, like, you can't dismiss him outright. The guy can quote Uniform Commercial Code from memory and recite it down to, like, the subsection. He's incredible.
Sure. His basic premises are always off. I mean,
Yeah.
in my opinion, but he is definitely somebody that is influential in the world and has a lot of people listening to him. Why wouldn't you want to understand what that guy has to say?
You don't need to be afraid of it and try to shut it down. Expose
Right.
yourself to it and decide he's wrong.
Well, the mothers of Sandy Hook are... you know what? The mothers of Sandy Hook need to realize they live in a free society, and that means that there are going to be people in the world that are abhorrent. And I'm sorry for your loss, but we're not going to tailor our entire society to people who suffered a tragedy. It's just the lowest common denominator either. So,
Yep.
not that they are. I'm just saying in general we do that.
Your outrage is not our problem.
Mittens, what did you think of this episode?
After you destroyed it.
Yeah.
She's not impressed. She says the best part of it was when she destroyed the podcast. So,
Cats
I want to
are
watch
terrible.
that footage. Can we make that like a little short video?
I'm going to.
Yes. It's like King Kong
And
of
put it in
podcasting.
slow mo. Just
Yeah.
the foam of the air going everywhere.
Yeah. Good job, kid. All right, thank you for joining us here on this episode of We Are Libertarians. We love you all for supporting us. You guys, it costs a lot of money to run We Are Libertarians as we're starting to grow and as we're starting to try and do more things. We're going to start adding live streaming soon. And we're doing that stuff because you guys donate money to help us grow, to help us add stuff, to help us bring in new libertarians to the movement. And you guys are just so great to us, and we can't thank everyone who listens, who downloads, who shares this on Facebook enough. and especially to the people who donate on PayPal or Patreon. You guys are all-stars. Thank you especially to two people, Christy Avery and Jason Doolittle both. Have donated a lot in the last year, but especially in the last couple months to help us.
You are our sugar daddies.
Finish, yeah, exactly.
For real.
Our podcast sugar daddies.
Finish some things out, and I just want to say thank you to them especially because the increased capabilities that we're going to have.
You're going to get levels of autism you've never seen before.
In high definition, bitches.
Mm-hmm.
So please.
Remind me never to come back.
So check in. I warned you, and you showed up looking like that. So I want to thank them especially. And if you are a Wall fan and you see Jason Doolittle, if you see Christy Avery online, make sure that you thank them because they are so awesome and such a great part of We're Libertarians and our growth. And also, please check out the YouTube channel. I've spent a lot of time trying to get all of our episodes up there. If you listen to podcasts on YouTube, you're one of those people, then all of our episodes are now up there, and you can share those with your friends. Thank you for joining us on this episode of We Are Libertarians. We will see you next week. And as always, we promise
to do better next time.
Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeareLibertarians.com.